Welcome back to the Chill Zone podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. And of course, I'm here with my co-host, Roger.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And of course, we got our special guest this week, Scott, aka Roby.
What's up? How y'all doing?
Good. So this week we're going to have a talk about Cyberpunk 2077. It's been out for about a week or so. I think it was exactly a week right now, right?
Yeah, it's been a week because it launched last Thursday, or no, Wednesday night technically.
Yeah. So, but we got some other topics to talk about too. But before we get into those, Roby, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, like what do you do? What do you play? Like any fun facts? Introduce yourself, man.
What's up, guys? I'm Scott. I work IT for the United States Air Force, and really what I've been playing is, well, for the past about 3 days, I want to say, been straight playing Cyberpunk. Other than that, I'm on Warzone. I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls, so I've always been playing Skyrim. And basically, really whatever kind of catches my fancy. I'm on WoW every once in a while. I downloaded my old Fable, The Lost Chapters, the Old Republic, but you can't beat it. It's a great game.
No, it sounds like you're definitely a role-playing guy.
Yeah, and I got the Old Republic and then Knights of the Old Republic, a bunch of favorite games throughout the years.
No, that's awesome. What kind of IT work do you do?
So I work at it's called a communications focal point.
Okay.
It's basically desk to the wall, basically. But it's system administration. We help with like project planning and all that good stuff, all the way down to, somebody's Outlook's not connected. This is a huge potpourri of issues.
I feel you, man. I do the same kind of work. I'm actually the system administrator for the Pennsylvania State Treasury.
Nice.
So,
good deal.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I started on help desk work and I worked my way up to where I'm at now. No, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. You guys are very similar in a lot of ways. Like being an IT, you both play a lot of the games. Like Roger's a big WoW player. I'm getting back into it too, but you guys are definitely very similar in a lot of ways. It's
that's awesome.
Yeah, you got some kindred spirits for sure.
But yeah, Roger, how are you? What you playing? What's going on?
So I've been playing WoW Tuesdays and Wednesdays on Reset. My guild has successfully only killed one boss on the raid so far. So we decided to do LFR this week. It's been a nightmare, but we'll get there eventually. Other than that, been playing Cyberpunk on stream for those who tuned in and watched. I think it's an awesome game, but other than that, been working.
No, yeah, I hear that. How's the snow up there for you guys?
Almost a foot. We got pretty damn close, and it's a shit show to shovel.
Yeah, my mom was telling me it was about a foot, and then seeing one of my friends, I don't know where he's at now, but he had 25 inches of snow, and I was just like, screw that. Like I'm good.
Yeah, no, dude.
But I mean, myself, I'm good. I'm almost healed from my sickness that you guys have seen over the past 2 episodes, but I'm good. But yeah, like these guys here have been playing Cyberpunk, trying to grind that out. I still have yet to beat Assassin's Creed. I thought I did, but I kind of just put that on hold until next week. I'm gonna jump back in it so I can try and beat it. I'm 50 hours in that game, so I'm almost done, I hope. But so definitely check out that review soon. Cyberpunk's review will definitely be up here soon. More than this, I'll go a little bit more in depth. But yeah, man, let's get into this week's review of Cyberpunk. Would like to give everyone a spoiler alert if anybody doesn't want to get anything ruined or anything like that. So right now is your time to click away, come back later, come check us out again. But we wanted to dive into the story of the game. So Scott, what do you think of the story so far? I know you're not too far into it, but what's going on? What you think?
So far, it was pretty good. With new games, it's always weird for me to like get me like fully immersed. But I think it was probably about like a good maybe 2 hours into it. It really started actually like pulling me in a little bit more after you figure out how things work and what you should be doing. I think so far it's been great. I definitely thought that I got Jackie killed. So that kind of hurt me a little bit. Because I was grabbing the device and the dude pulled his gun on me, and I was just said, let's see what can happen. And I blew his brains out, and then he died in the fight out. And I was like, ooh, definitely makes you feel for the characters. And the dialogue has been great to help that as well.
So Jackie, in your playthrough, died in the firefight for the dog robot.
Yeah. It was like just after All Goods.
No, that's crazy, because I have yet to really change how I played through it personally. For me, Jackie actually died way later into the story, surprisingly enough. So that makes me, as a person, like that right there alone has changed now my perspective on where I want to rate this game for story alone.
And now I feel bad again. Thanks.
So, you're welcome, man.
No problem.
I personally think the story is great, how it could be different for everybody, because when Jackie died in my game, we were in the vehicle getting away with the chip, and that's when he died with me. We were in the vehicle, and he apparently got shot in like his stomach or something like that, and he was bleeding out, and he died.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's the same as me. When for me, I decided to diffuse the situation there with Jackie and in the food factory. I don't want to call it a meat factory because it's synthetic meat. It's not real meat. So in that factory, I really contemplated for a moment to pull the trigger and blow the guy's brains out, because I really didn't like the guy. But at the same time, I was like, the credits aren't worth leaving this place in a firefight. It's 2 against a lot, and I'm playing on hard. Everyone's a bullet cushion. It's not going to be fun to shoot out of here.
No, yeah, for sure. But Roger, what's your likes and dislikes of the story so far?
So I really like being a fan of tabletop gaming. I've played things like Shadowrun before. I've played a lot of different role-playing games throughout the years, from Fable to Knights of the Old Republic to what's another great one to think about? I played visual novels before. I've played all these different games where decisions matter. And I think now, knowing what I know just from talking right now with you guys, I've tried to keep myself spoiler free. I want to play as far through the playthrough as I can, and I'll talk about anything that happened in the past. I'll find out what else somebody did differently for me. Like, to me, this game feels like your decisions matter. You are the character, and I really enjoy that through that. When you hit chapter 2 or act 2, to me, the game really gripped me at that moment when I'm in a gunfight to get out of the hotel, and I find out, there's this now gripping story of, inter company espionage, and now you broke out and you've got this chip, and now you've got, Keanu Reeves' character, who's not a good guy, in your head. It really ties it all together. Huh?
He's not a good guy to you?
He's a dick.
he's definitely a dick. He's very anti-hero.
Yeah,
very anti-hero.
He's a hero, but he's also the hero who's willing to do whatever he needs to get done. But also, at the same time, he's not our good guy. Like, when you think about a hero, you look and you're like, I'm looking. You have the stereotypical image what a hero has to be,
right?
And he's definitely an anti-hero. He isn't a villain, but he's not a hero. He is definitely, if we're talking about tabletop gaming, he's very neutral. He follows. He's chaotic neutral. He follows the beat of his own drum.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, before obviously he died, he was like a terrorist, quote unquote, because he planted that bomb in Arasaka Tower and he blew it up, and that's when he died on the way out.
Yeah,
and it's just like, but him in your mind, we're going back on your decisions, like your decisions on how you conversate with him, or if you conversate with him, because you could choose to just like walk away and ignore him and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you can with any NPC.
Yeah, like it really affects how he interacts with you too, and like he may like negotiate or help you, but then sometimes like he'll just get on your nerves, and you're just like, bro, just go away,
dude. Like, have you guys done the record side quest yet with him, where you have to go find the record?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, all right. So for those of you who haven't done the record side quest, in the viewers, what happens is you're in a market square looking for some stuff, and you end up seeing this guy playing a guitar, and he asks you, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about his playing? Because you can see what's important to the man living in your head. What's important to him? You know, art, people, human beings. That's what's important to him. You know, not corporations, the government, not structure and rules, but the ability to live your life. And he says, you know, you can feel the emotion coming off this guy, and you can also feel the emotion that he has, you know, and he asks you stuff. And then at one point he goes, okay, I want you to, you're like, oh, I could try and get one of your LPs, one of your limited release, not like limited release, but one of your bootleg concert recordings. And so you talk to one of this guy in the plaza who has bootleg recordings from the original concert in the 20s and like around this year IRL kind of thing. So with that kind of thing, you get asked a question and you look at Jackie, or you look at the guy in your head, and you're like, okay, help me out, give me the answer. And he tells you something, and you tell the guy, and he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? That never happened. You're not a fan. And you look at him, you're like, what the fuck, man? Why would you lie?
Well, that's different for you, because how I was answering, I guess I was choosing the right one, and the guy was like, yeah, that is right. And he was like, but I still don't believe that you were there. You still look a little young. Like, how do you know this information?
Yeah.
So it's like, even in that sense, like you'll see the difference of how you.
The dialogue, just the slight distinctions lead whole different paths. And even though you only get 2 options most times, sometimes 3, and the third option only comes if there's another party involved, whether it be an inanimate object or another person standing there, you only usually get 2 options for dialogue. Sometimes you'll get, like, if it's a yellow option, that is, you get 1 or 2 when it's a yellow option. When it's just fact-finding dialogue, then you get a little more options. But I think I really like the way it's played out so far, and just knowing, you know, the different experiences you guys are having with it really just draws me in more. The game has so much to offer.
And it's great. It makes you sit back and you think about what you're about to pick.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, what's the worst that could happen?
To bounce off of that, your thought there, I just want to comment on this one part. You talking about, like, you really want to sit there and think, like, damn, should I choose this or this? There's some selections where it has like that timer bar that goes across. And you either don't answer at all, or you don't think right away, and you're like, and then you're like, oh, you might not pick the right one that you wanted to rock with, but
or you just let it go, and your character just sits there.
And they just
like, you gonna say anything? And they just sit there and stare at you for like 20 minutes.
That's my favorite. You just stare at them and they're like, I don't got all time all day, man. What are you doing? And you're like, click. Sorry.
Yeah. But
you're gonna fucking spit it out? What's going on?
But could go ahead, Roby, what you were saying. I didn't want to cut you off too much there.
Oh no, it was just about when he was hitting on the dialogue options. It makes you really consider what the hell you're about to do. And then now, like you said, when you have there's certain times where you have that timer where you have to do the split decision, and you don't get to find out till later if you made the right one. As far as how you wanted your game to come out and turn out for you.
And what really gets me about games like this is you won't know how your game is going to end one way or another. And do you get the ending you want? That's the point I want to see.
Well, I have a buddy who already beat it.
Okay.
So I do have some news about the ending. It wasn't spoiled for me or anything like that. But if you want to do side quests and you want to do stuff like that, do it before you finish the main one. Because
apparently there's a message that pops up and it says, did you wish to continue? This is the finale of the game. So it does give you that warning, like, hey, if you want to go complete these other missions, or hey, you want to go do this, now's the time to go do it, because
there's no going back when you're done. So and I would like to caveat that I as we were talking more. So when Jackie died for me, I was having some pandemic juice. So that in the taxi cab is when he finally kicked it. So I retract my previous statement. It was the chip. It was the chip quest.
After you stole the chip.
Okay, so it sounds like he died at the same
time.
Okay.
Yeah. But I jammed so much
you're
storyline, like gameplay into like the past 2 days, and Pandemic's so rough.
And that's
so got to remember
fine.
exactly which one.
Well, before we go any further, I want to establish what life paths did you guys choose? What did you go with, Roger?
I went with Street for this and Nomad for a non-streamed playthrough.
Okay. And what about you, Roby?
Street Kid. Can't wait to do Corpo next.
Yeah.
That just seems really super interesting.
Yeah, I did Street Kid, but Corpo is my next one because like you start off and like you're like a billionaire or whatever. You have access and you can do and buy whatever you want. But I know eventually by the time your story like actually starts with everybody else's, you end up with nothing and you got to start from the beginning. But it's just like how you can literally just do whatever you want in the beginning. That'd be pretty cool just to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Nomad, Roger, how was the Nomad beginning?
For those of you who don't know the Nomad, instead of Jackie pointing a gun at you, Jackie's the guy who hired you, essentially. He went through a fixer who got a hold of you. Right. And so you're transporting Jackie over the border for the town. So the city itself has like, a border like you would on United States, Mexico kind of thing. It's an actual gated border where you have to declare you're going across a government line. And from what I can tell, it looks like the United States may not be completely the United States, because it seems like there may be other fragmented zones that became self-reliant, just like in other games like Fallout. Right. So I think definitely that was a cool aspect. It was instead of hanging out with Jackie, and shooting places up and having all that fun, you ended up driving over the border and getting chased by cops.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
It was literally, you just start the whole thing as just shooting cops and taking names.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can't wait to check it out, which we're going to cover a little bit later about the playability of this game. But
yeah,
I just want to give a couple more my thoughts on the story, and then we can roll some clip then. But I do really think the story was really well done. I was like each mission I felt like left me with wanting to play more and like figure out what's going on, because like after work, I get off work at about 5. I'm on the game by like 6:30, and I'm in bed by 10:30. So I'm playing it 4 hours at a time roughly, and I'm like, damn, I gotta go to bed. Damn, I don't want to put the controller down because like I want to keep playing. Like, what's next? Because it's such action packed. One thing after another.
For sure.
And the thing I got to add on to that is not only is the story nice and immersive and it feels like it really draws you in, but like I find myself, even though I'm doing the side quests, each one, yes, is the same thing. Get in, get out. However you get in and get out, it's up to you. Do whatever you want, but you have to get in and get out. Right. And, you can shoot up the place, you can sneak in, whatever. But there's always that story that surrounds it. Like, have you guys helped out the monk who was forcibly implanted with cybernetics?
No, not yet.
No.
So at one point, I actually had one of those moments where I'm playing the whole playthrough as non-violent as I can. I'm going to knock everyone out. I've been sneaking around and I have been trying to stay 100% silent. And I decided at one moment, a monk is fully cybernetic, like fully chipped out, and he's a full Borg at this point. And you look at him and you're like, I thought monks don't do this. And he's like, we don't. And you're like, then why do you have all this? And he goes, I was forced into it. They kidnapped me. And they removed his arm and put a cybernetic arm on. They replaced half his face, and you're just like, this is unacceptable. And to me, at that moment, I decided I was going to kill some people, because like to take away somebody's humanity like that is unforgivable. To be able to force your beliefs on some, and to do it for fun. So I decided that was it. Enough was enough. These guys that I've been fighting with this whole time need to die. So I went in to save the other guy's brother, so the monk had a brother who was also kidnapped but wasn't let go yet, because they borged him out and then threw him on the street and just laughed at him.
Damn.
And I'm like, why would you waste money? Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? So at that point, I'm like, these guys deserve to die. So I break in and I just sneak up and I just one by one just start snapping necks this time instead of knocking people out. And I look at the monk and I'm like, you're free to go. And he goes, I don't want your help. Do you realize what you just did? You've put their blood on my hand. And I'm like, bitch, I've got the blood on my hand, not you. Like, I did it to save you. Like, I did it to save you. And like, it does make it, to me, enjoying looking at other religions and things across the world, it really, to me, makes me think, my actions were for him. So does he not also pay a part into my sin? So it kind of gave me that little hint of Eastern religion and Eastern beliefs. And I was like, did I do what it was right, or was it still wrong to kill?
Totally
These guys would have killed
100%.
me. Like,
I don't think I've left anybody out yet. I think I killed everybody.
Yeah,
I have pure kill him. Straight up.
As a stealth player, I've really tried to approach some of the missions stealthily, and then I get seen, and then next it's just guns blazing.
Yeah, it's like you have a plan. You go in, some dude sees you, all hell breaks loose, and then you survive, and then you go on to the next mission.
Yeah, usually I get through, I'd say about 75% of all places I do, I've done 100% silent. I've got in, got out without getting caught.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I haven't killed people.
Because you've been investing into your the stealth tree and stuff like that, right?
And I'll talk more about the stealth tree when we get to mechanics and the playability of the game. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just got two more thoughts, and then we can rate the game or rate the story part real quick. So, but I do really enjoy the story and how it can be different each time you play through it, and also like comparing it as what we're doing now is comparing it to each other's play style, like that, like how the different dialogue can make a difference. And then completing the missions, like you can complete these missions in whatever order you want. Honestly, you can do all the main missions you want, or let me do all the side missions real quick, or let me go do all the gigs, or whatever it may be. I think it's pretty cool. And then like having the different life paths, that really affects the gameplay too, not just the beginning of the game, because like later in the game too, the dialogue, you might have specific dialogue options based on your life path as well.
As a nomad, I've already had it where the nomad let me skip a quest, because I literally looked at the guy and goes, "Have you seen this person? Fellow nomad, yada, yada, yada. Have you seen this person?" He goes, "Yeah." It just points, and I was like, "Thanks." Later, dude.
No, yeah.
That's awesome.
Street kid options have been pretty cool, because it's like, I'm sure as you've done, Vic, it's like you get your street kid option, your street option, you kind of basically get to call them on their bullshit.
Yeah.
If you think they're lying, or if you think they're holding something back, and they're like, "Nah, like
this is
the shit,
really
give you the goods." Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely did that a few times, for sure. And then the last thing here, as I was just going to say, is like all if not most of the characters in the game are like very well developed, and just makes you want to learn more about them or have more interactions with them, for sure. Like they're like, it sucks that Jackie dies, because like I feel like you grow in like a connection, like, hey, that's my brother now. Like no matter which life path you choose, you still form some kind of connection to him. Which is sure. Suck. But I'll start off the rating though. The story, I mean, I don't see why not, but I'm giving this a 10 on the story. I don't want to sound biased, but this game has blown me away since I booted it up. What y'all think?
So I'm going to be the controversial opinion here, and I'm going to give it an 8 for now.
Okay.
I haven't beat the game. I'm only in Act 2. Let's see how it plays out. What is to come after this?
Right.
I need to see from start to finish. But right now, how the story plays out for the characters, it's definitely an 8. It gives me options. I feel involved. I'm invested.
No, yeah, I agree. I think personally right now it's living up to a 10, but it could decrease as I go. Like maybe the story falls off or whatever it may be. But
definitely, and that's the other thing.
The story is keeping me going. Like I want to learn more. I want to play more. Like I played plenty of games of the story are just like, I'm just trying to get through this. Like, let me just beat the game already. I'm already invested. Like the story just becomes not fun anymore, but you already invested so much time. You're just like, I got to beat it now.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to kind of sit right in the middle ground with probably a good solid 9, because the same exact reason for you, Roger, is I haven't seen all of it yet. I haven't seen how everything's going to play out. I haven't seen what's going to happen, but at the same time, I've felt involved. I feel like I want to, work with Jackie. I felt it when Jackie died. Like things like this. Story has been really good thus far. Now, to me, sometimes things just kind of felt, well, like I said earlier, you go in, you have a plan, all hell breaks loose, and then you get out and you either die or you go to the next mission. It kind of seemed not repetitive per se, but they rhyme an awful lot. They rhyme an awful lot for me, and I could see my rating kind of teetering a little bit depending on how the rest of things go. For all I know, by the time I'm done with this game, they could be just like my Pittsburgh Steelers started out great, 2 in a row down, and looking a little bit worse for the wear. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because I don't think I could have 2 things do that to me in this year.
I mean, it's 2020.
Yeah, I know. If there's ever a year for shit to go south, let's just do it. We got like 3 weeks left. Let's just do it now. Get it all done, so we don't gotta do this shit again. But yeah, I'm gonna have to sit with the 9 right now. Always, pretty semper gumby on that. Stay flexible.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm sure we can get you back on a future episode and revisit our ratings and kind of go over what we think.
Yeah, because at this point, we definitely want to revisit this after we've beaten the game. In a few months, we'd like to make another week where we go through the game, try to finish it off, things like that, or try a different path. But we want to be at the point where we finish it, and we'd love to have you back to kind of give us your thoughts on the last rating.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be back for that.
Like, my thought is, if this isn't a 10, what is a 10? What to get to a 10? What would it have needed?
Right. It would have needed to be the Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Skyrim, really?
No, I'm just kidding. That game's close to my heart, though.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
No, but Roger, you can go ahead and roll some clips. Clips from your.
So to give you a lead up into this, we're gonna play a quick clip here. This is a highlight from one of my streams. It really, for me, everyone's seen that clip. Everyone's been through this point if you've beaten Act 1. So it's gonna be a main story point. Nothing has really changed except for me. This is the moment to set it up. I've just blown through the entirety of the tower, of the hotel. I've killed a giant mech robot with just me and Jackie, and he's bleeding out. I just yelled at the game, no, don't put the chip in your head, because I knew what it was going to do. I knew that it was going to be a bad thing as soon as he put it in. And so for me at this point, I'm drawn in. I've been playing for 3 hours, and Jackie's bleeding out. And to me, what matters is him surviving. And to have the chauffeur tell me, no, we can't stop and get him medical attention. That point, I became rage-induced. And to be able to select a dialogue option that I did, it just felt liberating that they gave you that option. That it just didn't play out, but it allowed you to choose a dialogue option. And the suspense, I was kept in suspense the entire time.
Yeah, Delamain did our boy dirty for sure, and being able to lash out about that was real good.
I mean, but was he being honest though? Like, do you think like maybe he knew like there was no chance?
Yeah, I'm still mad at him.
It's not a real person, I believe, right? I mean, as of right now, we don't know.
Yeah.
But
Delamain is an AI. No, they did establish that. Delamain is an AI, and the whole cab company is run by a single AI.
But he didn't finish the game, so maybe by the end of it, it's a real person behind the scenes.
Yeah, he could have been easily calling it. I mean, they have so many things that can scan. They can scan him. They can double check his diagnostic. They can run their tests. Yeah. To see, and they can run percentages, and like we said, it's an AI. You want to look for the best percentage, or if it's going to be even worth it. But it still didn't make me any less mad. But
and the thing was, like, he did say he needs to go to. There was essentially the words, if we get him to a doctor now, he could survive. But the fact that Delamain said to me, I'm not allowed to change course. Your course is already paid for. You have to take the course. Like, you have to take the already pre-designated route.
It shows you that money rules everything.
Exactly. And that, to me, that was one of the defining moments for the story. So here, I'll share it with you guys, my clip. We've all been there. But to me, that moment, for those who haven't seen it, is what really defined Act 1 for me as a great, like, it was making the game. It what hooked me into the game.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. Let's do this. I'm ready to be heard again.
Alrighty. So looks like for you guys, I won't be able to share the clip because sharing is disabled.
Oh, boo.
Oh, boo. But I can share it for the Twitch channel.
Yeah, I had Twitch rolling on my...
Alrighty. Oh, not this one. I apologize. It is this clip. So the moment you walk into the bathroom and you look, you see blood all over your face, and a moment that the game just says, smash mirror. I didn't even take more than a second to just go click, click. That to me, that moment where you can bust through that window and with that glass and just, I almost just wanted to walk away from it at that point. I looked and said, should I wash my face or should I move away? I sat silently, didn't say anything on stream because to me, I was just like, I'm gonna kill the guy outside. I'm literally gonna try and kill him.
Yeah, I didn't wash my face either.
To me, I smashed the mirror, and that was all I needed. It gave me some satisfaction.
You, smashed the mirror regardless, because I think one of the options before that, I chose it and it didn't. You still had to it still put that option up there again.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to wash my face and make sure that I was good, and then smash the mirror.
Yeah, for me,
I thought it was a little bit more cinematic. Like you get a chance to wash your face, take it all in, and then you just
exactly. And so for me, I think that moment was what kind of defined what the game was for me. To be able to just add that simple thing, just a way for me to blow off steam, I thought was an awesome option. You know, at many times throughout the game, I feel like the main character is just going to follow a straight line. And I look at that and I'm like, at this moment, I'm pissed. Why is the main character just like, I'm going to keep walking this line? I'm like, no, dude, I'm pissed. And yeah, I'm forced into it. But at that moment, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to shoot the guy if I can. If it gives me a single option to shoot him, his head's coming off.
Right. Well, going into the bathroom, did you guys already know all right, this guy's about to set me up?
Yeah, I felt something was amiss when you go in and he's panicking about the entire thing. It's all over the news, and it's like, oh well, he's probably worried it's going to be tied to him.
Yeah,
and you obviously got to cut out the
middle.
Ends.
You gotta cut the loose ends. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely felt that it was set me up, because it was just like, why do I need to go in there and wash my face? I don't care if it's bloody right now. I just went through a bloodbath to get here. Like,
I'm just going to go home after this, let the blood sit on my face for 15 minutes. Who fucking cares?
Right. So I already knew, all right, I'm about to go in here and I'm about to come back out and go.
Yeah. I'm going to get bloody again. Yeah. I washed my face because I was like, maybe he's just going to be like, get the fuck out of here. We don't know each other. Right. I can't tie it back to him. Right. I have nothing to tie back to him.
Yeah. Right.
So,
I mean, technically you do with the brain dances.
Yeah.
No, he's not in any of the stuff.
You've been in that, they can see you, oh, you were just with him, you were just talking with him, anything like that.
If somebody had recorded it, somebody would have had to record that as a brain dance. Somebody would have had to have those augments to be able to record our meeting or see us there or do anything like that. Yeah, maybe if somebody was willing to sell us out in the freaking Night Runner Club, but nobody's going to try and sell another Night Runner out in the freaking Night Runner Club. Right. And one last point I want to make. To me, foreshadowing in this game has been 10 out of 10. That's right there, to me, has been one of the single greatest parts about this game is the foreshadowing. Right. The fact that you're sitting at a bar and Jackie asks, well, how do you get a drink named after you? And then he tells the lady, here's my recipe. And she goes, I'll remember that. I said, I looked at my screen and I said to chat, Jackie's going to die. Jackie is going to die. And he's going to die soon.
Right.
I
didn't think of it that way. No,
I was never ready. After that moment, I knew.
They give you that drink with a huge plate of foreshadowing.
Yeah. It's like, you don't need any food. You're already full of foreshadow, dude.
You're just ooh, ominous.
Great. And I was like, I didn't get to tell him my drink, so clearly I guess I get to live. But Jackie's like, here's mine. And I was like, no, why did you do that?
Right.
It's literally looking and spitting in face the fate of space, the face of space. The face of fate.
But no doubt, the story is great. It's only going to get better, I think.
No, exactly.
Let's I think we can move on to the next aspect, which is graphics and sound. Scott, what did you think? What do you think of the graphics?
I think it's great. there's a couple settings I did tweak. My PC auto loaded into Ultra. The one thing that I hated, and I can't stand it enough, is the motion blur. Like
everyone
being this
it.
close, and there's a couple things you could do to kind of get rid of that like kind of gritty texture feel and make everything look a little bit better.
Yeah, the grain.
But overall, I thought it was pretty outstanding. I haven't had issues with like with load times of any areas, anything like that. It's been quick. It's been good. I haven't gotten issues like you're seeing all over, Facebook and everywhere where people are, there's a picture of Keanu Reeves side by side with like Haggard from like a 2001 Harry Potter PlayStation game. Haven't had any of that. Everything's been looking great for me.
Well,
on my end.
To go off of that is what system are you playing on? Like what setup?
So I'm on a PC. I have the AMD Ryzen 3600X. It's a 6-core processor, 3.8 megahertz. I'm on the AMD the AMD 580, the RX 580, which is it's a lower end graphics card. I mean, it's not the new hotness. None of this is the new hotness. I have 32 gigs of RAM, and I have my my MSI gaming motherboard. So it's nothing too fancy. I mean, it's definitely an under 1K build. It's been great so far, and it's doing the job. And I like this little guy. He's doing all right.
And the thing is, you're playing on a budget build like that, or mid-tier budget to mid-tier build like that, and the game is still running. It sounds like pretty damn good for you.
Yeah, and well, that's all these people that have been doing the refunds or asking for that or like making these claims, like they're still running on like day one Xbox Ones. Right. They're running on old hardware, and this is one of the they already told you this is going to be graphically demanding. This is going to require power, and it's going to require speed. And so now you have all these people that either can't read or elected not to read, having issues because they don't have the power or they don't have the speed to actually push it and be able to do it. And now they're whining, saying they want their money back.
Right. But the comment on that though is, granted there are those kind of people, but you just got to think about it from a parent to a kid aspect. The parents are going to like, I got to get this game for my kid for Christmas. And the parents have no idea what's going on with the game. They see it on TV with all the advertisements and stuff like that. And then next their son's playing. They're like, Mom, this game looks horrible. And then they start reading stuff like, hey, Mom, we get a refund. And that's where like some of the miscommunication can come from too. But people don't know playing it on those day one consoles, both Xbox One and PS4, are going to struggle. Granted, it is a last gen game because we're playing I'm on console. I'm an Xbox Series X right now, but I'm playing last generation version of the game. Next gen version of this game doesn't come out till next year. Yeah. But those consoles are 8 years old. They came out.
They're gonna get crushed.
Like they don't understand like that. If you want the expectation of this game, you have to run it on a better hardware to be able to run it.
Yeah, and I will say, if I'm a parent and I got my kid Cyberpunk 2077, I'm pretty sure the hardware would be the least of my worries with that game.
That's the problem.
There was a breast in my face for like 5 minutes when you had to carry that girl you pull her out of the tub, and you got to throw her on the balcuni. Like that's in the first hour.
When you're it's like when you're creating your character, you get to like those customizations that you could do. It's insane.
And I was wondering when we were going to get to that. The extreme customizations.
We can talk about it now if you want. It's all in the graphics, like it's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I gotta say, the character customization, I feel like it. People call it extreme, but I have seen even more in depth. Not choosing your penis, but I've seen character customizers where you can pretty much draw your character in a 3D model, essentially. Right. I've played things like Black Desert where character customization is very big.
Well, Cyberpunk, I think, did, in my point of view, is great at being able to support more than just a guy versus girl. Like they really support the transgender community. Like you could really create a dude with with a female voice, or you can create a chick and have a dick, or have a dude with a vagina. Like it, you can create and do whatever you want. As crazy
whatever
as
makes you feel you.
Right. You can spend 3 hours in it. You can spend 3 hours on that. And easily. I think the customization has been amazing. But to take that customization, and I want to backpedal a little bit, because I'm not saying that there's no bugs in Cyberpunk. I'm not saying there's no bugs. I'm not saying there's no issues. I mean, I've played Bethesda games before, and we all know that nothing comes out. But I definitely gave my dude a dick. And at one point, it was awesome. Mazel tov. But at one point, my dude was naked in the mirror, and as he was walking by, no dick. I was like,
why don't you do it?
I was like, come on. I was like, it's like I spent so much time,
so much time wasted, just like that.
Yeah, and or like when I got out of the Delamain, and all that good stuff, when I loaded back into the game, because that was enough for me that night. I was like, I'm going to bed. I loaded back into the game.
He had to go to bed crying, like, fuck.
Yeah. I was like, I really got that boy killed. But when I loaded back in, he was on top of the Delamain, and it was just like bouncing and all that good stuff. So I'd like to point out that they spent so much time coding penises and vaginas that they didn't care about, object permanence or whether or not that was actually even going to be there when you looked in the mirror.
Yeah.
Some of my little gripes, but really it still makes it fun.
Yeah.
No,
I definitely got to say
about that. Apparently, there was like a bug where when you're riding the motorcycle for some reason, and you go into third-person view to actually see yourself driving, for some people it would make them completely naked, head to toe. Even though they had like clothes a clip, but it was just like glitching out, bugging out. Like it would just take everybody's clothes off.
Now I'm gonna have to take a note and be like, switch to third person on motorcycle. Got it.
No, I thought that was funny, but Roger, what do you think on the graphics?
All right, so graphics and sound, I'm going to lump them together here. So a game, as I've always said, has to have, 4 to 5 main points. Story, gameplay, sound, graphics. You have to have these things. It is an experience. A video game is an experience, just like a movie, just like reading a book. You're supposed to immerse yourself. And I felt Cyberpunk, I started up my console or my computer started it up on Ultra. I loaded in and I'm hitting 30 frames, 20 frames at times. I went outside. I've seen dips down to 10 and I'm like, I wasn't expecting it to be this bad. Then I turned it down from the settings. I went the whole way down to the base and it felt like I was playing an early Xbox 360 to late Xbox 360 game. And I was like, I can definitely see the time and the care that came into every little detail that they could. They tried to craft as much into it as they could. They tried to make it as visually aesthetic as possible. And I really got to say, I love the graphics. I love them. It's a beautiful game. Sounds, on the other hand, I don't notice them. The game's quiet. I don't feel like there's a very good sound. Like the soundtrack that's there doesn't compel me. It doesn't make me feel certain things. Now, maybe it's because I've turned on the streamer mode and I can't hear all the songs, but the soundtrack to me, I haven't felt the soundtrack was good enough. Right. I've sat in the car and I've listened to the radio without streamer mode on before, and the radio doesn't catch me. It doesn't feel like I can put on a radio station and be happy. I've only found maybe one that was kind of okay, and it was just BGM music. It was just straight background tunes. So I definitely think that sound itself will lower this category, since we're lumping graphics with audio together. Mm-hmm. It's going to detriment the overall score I give this. Right. I just don't care much for the sound. Now I like the dialogue. Everything is voiced. Everything is good. People cut in. People talk. I can hear things going on around me. I can just random people talking in the background, just having a conversation about fuck all, but it's there.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate that.
The ambience it provides is
exactly. It makes
excellent.
me feel like I'm in a world, not am the world.
Yes,
for sure.
I'm in the game is not me. You know.
Luckily for me, I don't drive too often because I don't know about you. Driving.
I run everywhere. I've been running everywhere.
Horrible.
Oh, dude, on PC is the worst. We'll talk about that in the next section.
When we get to mechanics, I know I had to put in there. I'm like, well, thankfully I don't drive too much because I don't really give too much care about the radio.
Honestly, I don't listen to the radio too often. I'm mostly run from point A to point B. It's like 1.2 kilometers. I'm like, we'll see what happens along the way.
Hey, but
Zoom.
We're talking about how in-depth the game is, like choosing to run to your destination, and that'd be like 1.2 or 3 kilometers away. You still get XP when you're running to this location because you're building up athleticism.
Athletics, yeah.
Yep, athletics.
Like that minor detail of like, hey, I chose to run this time. I'm still grind. Like it's still adding to my grind. Like I'm not running and wasting my time of
exactly
10-15 minutes to run to this destination if I could easily hop in a car or fast travel.
My only gripe about running to all my destinations is they have a ton of NPCs and I love it. It's awesome. The city feels full. It feels like it's a living city.
Well, I do know that that's a setting.
But it kills my graphics.
Right. I know it's a setting on your PC that you can change. You can adjust the crowd. Like you can make it to have like very, very thinned out or like large crowds. I don't think I have that option on my system here. But I was like, wow, that deep. I don't think I've ever seen a game where you get to choose how many NPCs are in your game.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's a lot because I'm at the point right now where every time I leave a building and all the NPCs just start reacting again, my game just goes into the ground until it stabilizes again.
No, yeah. But yeah, I just want to give my thought now real quick, and then we can give it a rate. But I definitely agree. The game is just absolutely mind blowing, and I like to use the infamous quote from the Xbox briefing. It's breathtaking.
Yes.
The day that I like you just open it up and you're just like you step outside and you just see the massive city, and it's just like, yo, it's crazy. And then looking at the map, I just felt overwhelmed too, like just how much was there to do and whatnot, how big the map was, because you don't realize how big the map don't really look big, but in the grand scheme of things and scale wise, it's huge.
Within one district, you won 1.2 kilometers, you know? Right. And if there's 7 districts straight down.
Right, yeah. And then, they got the verticality too. It's not like Easton, like flat.
It's a city.
Down. Yeah.
You can go into things. That's amazing.
It's great.
I do think the graphics were super well done. And everything is just detailed both in and outside of the city too. Like the city's great, but going into the nomads, like the I think it's the Badlands, I think is what it's called.
The desert, we'll call it the desert for now.
Yeah, like even the desert looks pretty damn detailed to me. Like they could have just made it look very simple and boring and stuff like. But there's a lot of detail, and I'm not gonna lie, it's so damn detailed. Like they have those big ass like random boulders, and you're trying to drive through it, and you go. And you hit it, and you're like, I couldn't even see it because it was behind the bush or something like that. And you're just like, damn it. But no, I think the sound in the game, I agree. I think that's probably where it's going to take its hit. I don't necessarily agree on the music part. Like I feel like every time I pop in the car, the radio has been getting me hyped. I'm like, shit, I just want to drive around and listen to this music.
That's fair. Maybe we have different tastes. But
right. No, yeah, it definitely is. But going back to like graphics though, the character models I think were very well done, and you can call me weird, I don't care, but the character that you meet, Panam, bro, she is like beautiful as hell, and I was just like, I need to romance her because I know you can romance certain characters, and you can romance with her, and as long as you choose the right dialogue and continue to help her do missions and stuff like that, you can eventually have sex with her and everything else under the sun and make her your girlfriend. I don't know how far that goes with it, but she's just that like being able to connect with a character because they actually look real too in this game is really cool. I personally think.
I think they call that a love handshake. But yeah.
But no, the sound though, outside of like music and stuff like that, because I think we talked about on our, was it the last 2 episodes ago with the music, how it can make or break a game sometimes. It's not horrible. Could it be better? Yeah. When I'm in the city, I feel like the city isn't loud enough because this city's massive. there's millions of people in the city, and I don't feel like the city's loud.
It's a metropolis. It's a metropolis. It is the quietest metropolis. I could hear a pin drop.
Right, because like we've been to New York. Going to New York, you're just like, man, there's just so much shit.
I have a headache at the end of the freaking day.
See, I'm not really.
Why can't you?
I'm not really that bad with it with the noise. I'm not. It's not as quiet, or at least I don't feel for that complaint. I mean, I think I get the low ambience and things like that. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's kind of like just my ears or personal preference for sound levels.
If you're in a busy market, it's pretty quiet. And you can hear everyone perfectly.
And all the vehicles on the road, and you're telling me no one's beeping their horn, no one's doing. You can't.
I've heard a horn honk maybe once.
Yeah,
you can't beep your own horn.
And that was after I hit somebody.
Yeah, I was looking for the horn button, and I was like, I don't have enough time to look through the controls for the horn button.
I don't even know if there is one because I none of the buttons on the controller sets the horn off.
And not only that, I've cut people off. I've run into people, and they're like, "Don't hurt me." Yeah. And I was like, how did I hear you in your fucking car?
Yeah, it gets or when they're ahead of you and you crash. The crash sound lasts about 2 seconds. It's 0.1 decibel, but you can hear the dude screaming at you. No problem.
Yeah, I think they messed up on that. But I mean, other than that, I think the cars sound great. The guns sound pretty good too, like the different guns. I just feel like they could be louder too. Like I don't know. I mean, it could be just me.
But
hey, Roger.
Yes.
Your horn is left control.
Okay, I'm gonna figure that out then.
Yeah, as we were talking about some of this stuff, I pulled up the game and I'm looking through I was looking for graphics to see if you could get like a they have field of view.
Yeah.
But that's more of like what you see left right versus when people
it's
actually
usually how back you are to get your
before people actually render.
Yeah, so for me, I think my concerns were game looks beautiful. I have FPS hits with a bunch of people, but I don't want to, that's not a complaint. That's just a statement at this point. It's just, the game is immersive. There's a lot of people. So yes, I understand that it's going to be render intensive, and I don't mind that my frames drop. It's a lot of people. That's awesome.
Right.
And then the only gripe I think I have with the graphics is the cutscenes aren't pre-rendered usually. Mm-hmm. So it's literally a script, and it follows through as the players do it. So at times, instead of getting pre-rendered, visually appealing, high frame rate things,
like their trailers,
places where your character, you don't even see your character in a cutscene. You see your leg or something. If that, the moment he brings over the eyeball for you, the optics, when he goes to implant it, I'm watching it clip in his hand, and I'm like, that's some clunky stuff right there.
Right.
Yeah, there was definitely some pieces like that, bits and pieces there that they stand out.
Yeah.
Because for the majority of it, it's excellent.
Yeah.
And then when you have those little things, it's gonna stand out. Like I noticed the clunky for the eyeball, everything like that.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, when I was looking for your horn button, there's also 3 different options for Panzer. So I can't wait to try that out. Primary cannon, missile launcher, and smoke screen. Let's do this.
But let's go ahead and rate this section. I'm gonna start with you, Scott. What's your rate on this category here?
I'm gonna have to go relatively high. I mean, they spent a lot of time on it, and it shows. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's always going to be some frame issues, and nothing's ever perfect. Right. But I think, especially with the demand and how many people wanted this game, and we're getting so sick of them putting it off to try to fix some of the things that we're talking about. Maybe that was on one of their agendas, and they just didn't get to it.
And not only that, they're dealing with the pandemic too, just like we are. So. The struggles of finding, you wanted to release the game, but you pushed it back, but now you deal with a pandemic where nobody can work.
Which jacks everything up. But I think if you, at face value, I would say 8.5 out of 10. I think they're doing great. If they push any more optimizations, things like that, it's going to be outstanding. I say in the face of what you just mentioned, Roger, with the COVID, people can't work. They can work from home, but there's some things that they have to physically do, which makes it longer, or not. Obviously, not going to claim that they cut corners, but there's just some things that you have to drop in order to still meet that deadline. Or if you rush it, it might be a little sloppy. But I'd say take that into consideration, and I'm going to give this a 10.
Okay.
So at face value, 8.5, just based off of what we talked about, how they had to go about doing it and handling it, while all of us are stomping our feet saying, I want it now. I pre-ordered this shit months ago. Where's my damn game?
Right. Exactly.
I think while trying to meet that demand, that's where I would kick it up to a 10. So for this, 8.5. But when you think about it, I think they nailed it so far.
No, yeah, for sure. And I just think it's crazy to think like they always talk about like previous generations hold back games. If this is a great example where, because there obviously there's more Xbox One and PS4 players than there are all the other systems, the console wise, they want to still be able to get to them because that's a lot of money. But their focus was PC and next gen, whether it was a next gen game or not. Their focus was on that.
And not only that, they were releasing the game before the next gens, but then it got pushed back. So now they have to support next gen. So you go from a game that's originally intended for PC and then consoles. Now you've got shoddy console ports going out to consoles because you've got this next gen crowd that just hit, and you're like, we have to be able to sell to them. We can't just sell it for old gen and then release the next gen.
Well, and they can patch to next gen.
Exactly. Yeah.
They can patch that, no problem. I mean, and I don't want to hear any complaints on my side of the earth regarding that, because I have a folder on my desktop that's like 250 gigs for Warzone. So updates shouldn't be a problem, especially when they actually optimize the game, which they've done continually for your consoles. It's a little bit harder to make sure that, every single component is excellent for PC when they're pushing out updates. But I think a little bit more time, a little bit more patience on the user's end, and I think the consoles.
No, yeah, and the thing, their previous game, The Witcher 3. Me and Roger were talking about this before we got you on for the pre-show. Was The Witcher 3, when it first came out, was having this exact same problem. It had galore. It looked not the greatest, but by 6 months later, it's Game of the Year, and a year later, it's Game of the Generation. It defined gaming, and it's insane. Like the RPG and the story, like everything was great, but it had the bugs and stuff, and it was holding it back.
Well, and I mean, we can all attest. Yeah, every game is going to come out with bugs. I think the reason that this has gotten so much flack is because of the nature of pushing it back, because they wanted to try to make it as best they could. Because I agree with them. You only get one chance to put out a great game. You can put out shitty games all day. People do it all the time, very often. And I think that kind of made the sting a little bit more, because the hype and what people thought they were going to get. They thought they were going to get like the most brilliantly looking game ever with no flaws whatsoever, which never happens.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's never gonna. I mean, and having played, like I said earlier, Bethesda games, Fallout, like the Elder Scrolls, things like that, bugs at some point they're just the nature of the beast, and they either get worked out or you start exploiting them.
Right.
And then you have even more fun with it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So, I personally,
your rate?
The graphics, knowing the capabilities of what it can do and what I've seen, and I'm happy with what I've seen, I'm going to give the graphics a 10. It's on par where it should be for a game of its caliber. It is, it's not going to be the most visually appealing game forever, but as of right now, it is met the criteria. If I were to remove points for every little graphic problem, it's mechanics that are the problem, not the graphics. The graphics are
the good thing for both of you guys having PCs is the option to fluctuate the settings and stuff a lot.
Exactly.
Because you guys get to choose size and stuff like that, where my game is kind of just set at like a happy medium. Like I literally don't have no issues. Like my frames don't drop, like nothing. I have like little bugs in the game that are not related to like graphic wise and how it looks and sounds. So I think it's good though for a PC, because like you said, you try to put on ultra high settings and it struggled. But then you put it at the super lowest and you're like, this is like Minecraft. And then like middle, it rocks out.
Yeah. So I would give it a 10 on graphics. But the sound itself, I would give it a 7. To me, sound is important, so between the two of them, the graphics and the sound, I give it around an 8.5 to an 8.
So you did 10 graphics and what for sound?
7.
And then
I give it around a 7. Just because I felt as though the soundtrack didn't catch me. Maybe it gets better, but I just didn't feel it.
Right. What was your overall score for this category?
8.5, 8.
I'm gonna go back to you, Roby, real quick. What would you rate audio and then sound separately, and then I have your overall scores.
So if I took graphics and everything like that, and didn't worry about sound or anything like that, I'd still be pretty high. I'd be up there 9, just based off of how visually appealing it is. I mean, I have the load screen right now, and it's fantastic. I know it's just a load screen, but it hasn't been much different when I'm in the game.
Yeah,
I think it's been fantastic. So I'd give that the good old 9.5, 10. And then when you consider the sounds and stuff like that, that's kind of what brought me into the 8.5 range a little bit overall. Mm-hmm. But sound isn't. I would say more like the around with Roger 7.5, 8. It's not too much of an issue with me, just because I'm not too worried about sound all the time. But the things that you mentioned are noticeable. Still gets excellent points for ambience, but there's just some weird things every once in a while. Mm-hmm. So,
all right. How about you, Vic? What do you think? Because you've sounded like you've really liked the graphics.
No, the graphics are mind blowing. I mean, I literally have no issues. The game just encapsulates me, and exactly what they portray the game to be for me is what I'm seeing personally. Mm-hmm. That's I'm experiencing exactly what they want. Sound, I'm probably going to give it 8.5 or a 9, just because it's not living up to my expectations. I mean, this is my personal rating. So my expectations of this, I'm in a huge metropolis, and the sound isn't matching that. So it's kind of throwing off the environment. Like I shouldn't be able to go through the city and don't hear anything other than a couple people's conversations who were like hundreds of feet away from me. Like I shouldn't be able to really hear their conversations clear. I think that's where it'll probably mess it up. So I'll probably stick to about an 8.5. But if I had to combine them, I'm just going to go with a 9.
That's fair.
In this category.
And speaking of sound, I have to get a second set of headphones real quick because I just got the battery low notification on mine.
So. Not a problem. But and even looking at our chat, one of our viewers is like, he loves the song "We Like to Dance, We Like to Taste, We Like to Fuck, and We Like the Pain." He says the song's a banger. There are catchy times where there are good songs. Don't get me wrong, but there aren't a lot.
Yeah, no,
there aren't. I remember that one, but I don't remember it unless somebody said something. It wasn't that memorable, but it was enough that when somebody said it, I was like, "Oh yeah, that did happen. I remember that one." Right. But it wasn't like amazing.
No, yeah.
Huge fan of the futuristic EDM though, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I do like EDM.
Yeah, get you pumped.
It definitely the soundtrack was there for what I was looking for in terms of the genre. I'm looking for something that makes me think Shadowrun, something I want to be in that mode. I want to be in that time, that period that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and before we move on to the next category, I think we kind of missed out on talking about ray tracing and just like the anamorphic glare that it gives. Like when you look directly at like a light, it adds like a flare of light that you would like normally see if that was you.
Yeah, and so I did turn on ray tracing. My computer said you're getting medium ray tracing, and I was like, whoa there. That's ultra graphics plus medium ray tracing. I was like, okay, 20 frames for ray tracing. I don't step it back, but I did take a moment to go, wow, ray tracing was awesome. It just you can, when you've seen what ray tracing does for a game, where you've seen lighting for hundreds of years on games and it's always static, lighting's always the same. It doesn't take into account how it reflects off things. Mirrors aren't mirrors, they're gray. And we just accept that fogginess that it has, where it's like you can see something, but not you.
Talking about mirrors, I think they took like a smart route with the mirrors, because you got to turn the mirror on and it the blinders open up and then you can look at yourself.
Well, and it's not just that. That's the idea behind. You can, if you turn it on, and that's sort of a futuristic technology aspect. It's meant to be so that on your mirror, just like in some of the newer, fancier cars, you can see a digital loadout of customizable things on the mirror.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I definitely think that the ray tracing, once I get a better CPU, I can really start pushing it, because ray tracing is heavy on the CPU, and mine's about 5 or 6 years old now. It's definitely going to be primo. I think the ray tracing is an awesome thing. Just getting to see it, even at low FPS, I was just like, wow, I need to go buy myself some new parts now. It alone.
That's my benefit with the new system, is it has good enough parts to support 4K ray tracing.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a monitor supporting 120 hertz, they could do that as well. But
yeah,
I'm glad I'm able to experience it without a locked frame rate. I don't know what the locked frame rate is on console. It might be either 30 or 60, but it doesn't fluctuate.
Usually 30.
Yeah. It's usually 30.
This system is targeted to try and do 4K 60 at pretty much every game. I think the only game that doesn't do it is Watch Dogs Legion. For some reason, they cap it out as a 4K 30 setup. But I do think Cyberpunk on the console does a 4K 60. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look into it again.
Mm-hmm.
But overall graphics are great. But I mean, there's another section that we got to get to here. So on the mechanics and the playability. Roger, what do you think on that?
So the mechanics and playability, bugs, as we've said, are going to happen. That's to be expected. It is an open world game. We've all been through Skyrim, and we look how great a lot of people think Skyrim is. There's bugs everywhere. Everything you do, whether you're in Fallout, whether you're in Elder Scrolls, these open world games that are story oriented like this, they're going to be buggy. And I've got a clip at the end of this that kind of just, to me, it happens, but at the same time, it's like when it clips that bad, it really just goes, it almost ruins an entire playthrough of a mission.
Right.
So I think minor bugs are okay. Oh no, my toothbrush is outside of a toothbrush holder. Oh no, her phone is floating here. Whatever, dude. Small minor bugs. But when NPCs walk through a wall or through a box, or they see you through a wall, that, to me, that's a problem.
Or Jackie's body flopping around on top of the Delamain.
Exactly. Those moments where things stop counting is, to me, a problem. Because I noticed, I know where they went. I know where they went light on some stuff. Like if you've ever seen one of the characters eating something, you look over and it looks like a Barbie doll toy, and you're like, "Wow, dude, this looks like 2000. This looks like PS1 graphics right here. I love your cup of noodles you got going on there." And it's literally just they're just sticking it into a Barbie doll toy.
Yeah, right. They just sit there and
they're
just feeding themselves.
And it's like, I think at times that is my only gripe with the mechanics and playability. Now, the only other thing that I would say is a problem, I guess, actually, is the skill trees. I found there is a way to reset your skill tree. You can do that in the game.
Yeah.
Awesome.
100,000 eddies.
There you go. That is the clicker. It is super expensive to do so. And
well, for those of you that don't know, come and buy money in this game is like real world. You gotta work your ass off.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll get on the mechanics, and I'll tell you something I saw a little bit earlier regarding that with money.
Yeah. So I being a stealth tree, I wanted a way to silently take out enemies instantly if I could. So I decided that I'm going to take the throwing dagger perk. And I didn't look anything up for the game. I didn't do anything with it. I was like, awesome. Throwing dagger perk's going to be cool. How do I throw daggers? You have to equip a dagger and then throw it. And then go into your menu, equip another dagger, and throw it. Here's the kicker for your throwing dagger perk. You can't retrieve your daggers.
Shit.
You throw a weapon into somebody's head or at a wall and miss, it's gone. Forever. Well, it is gone.
I hate to be the devil's advocate on this one. Obviously, not being able to retrieve your dagger is that's come on now. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's no reason for that.
Okay.
But if you think about it, if you're throwing daggers in IRL, you're gonna have to reach for the other dagger and put it in.
Well, what I mean is you can pull it out like this and throw it. Why doesn't it just let me autofill the slot or mass produce 10 daggers and just go and
maybe throw. I mean, and I haven't looked too far into it. Maybe for all we know, there's like a jacket or a pair of pants that like helps with your throwing daggers, and maybe you can. Maybe they thought about that and they're like, no, get the jacket.
And the thing is, you don't know. But the problem was, I chose that perk, and I was like, what if I just invested in making a legendary, a purple tier dagger, threw it, and it's gone for good?
Yeah, that was sick. Yeah, I'm looking at.
And we just talked about how hard it is to make eddies.
I was just looking at the skill tree, and I was just seeing if there was like maybe another perk in another area where it like allows you to do that, like retrieve it. There's nothing there.
No, there isn't.
Oh, but maybe I do know that you get the skill progression rewards too. Maybe it's in one of those. I'm not.
No, because those are non-specific. That's the thing with perks like that. Your perks aren't augmented by your tree. Your tree augments like you don't augment your level up by the tree doesn't get upgraded by the level up. You get leveled up, and that just gives you general abilities in that tier.
Well, no, there's a third progression area.
Like
if you go underneath a tree, and at the very bottom it says skill progression rewards.
Yeah. That's how you level up and get more skill points.
Right. Well, that's how you get bonus skill points. Like you also get like more
if you level up. Yes, but
yeah, that
like in sneak you get better sneak.
Yeah, they have to add something or change that where
and maybe that'll change. But like to me, that was one of the coolest things. I'm like, okay, if I really need to go in lethal, I'm not built to just go into a gun shootout. I need to play this quiet this whole game.
Right.
And if I need to kill somebody with a dagger, cool. And I'm going to throw it into their skull, and it's going to go through their skull unless they have cybernetics, yes. But like, why can't I just pull it out of somebody's fleshy fun chest, Why can't I just retrieve my dagger? I've thrown daggers, I've thrown hatchets, I've thrown other metal objects. They don't break that easy.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't know that mechanic kind of was broken.
Yeah. So like, and you don't know that it's a bad mechanic until you're already there. So if you choose to go into something and you play through the game, you're like, wow, this isn't really optimized. They didn't think about somebody, because with so many abilities to follow so many different paths, I've got a friend who's literally going cowboy style. He is literally cyber cowboy. That's his whole thing. Runs around with a revolver, blowing people's heads off. Cool.
Hell yes.
But like, I wanted to be a ninja nerd. So my guy has a samurai sword. He's quiet and he hacks everything. That's my goal. But like at the end of the day, if I have to kill somebody, I want a perk to do so, and it's just
it seems like it's a waste.
Doesn't feel. Yeah, there feels like dead perks, and then they are single tier perks. So like you grab it, that's it. There's nothing else to augment it.
Right.
Yeah. Perk points are always like this, and I think when I did my level up and I had my perk points, I wasn't, obviously I went, going to a blind. You have no idea what's going to be what. You have no idea how it's going to affect your gameplay, anything like that. That's why I stacked my perk points for like a hot minute, because I was like, if anybody would ever ask me, hey, what's one thing that gives you anxiety? It's perk points in RPGs.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. because
it's permanent.
Awful sometimes.
Especially in this game where they are permanent, other than spending 100,000.
No, for 100,000 eddies, that shit's permanent. It's pretty permanent.
That shit's permanent, yeah. Right.
Because Assassin's Creed, everyone knows I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You can reset your entire skill tree at any given moment for free every single time. Like, I don't want to do this one. All right, try it again. And I think that allows you to play different ways versus this one.
And
that's it.
I enjoy the semi-permanence of it, but at times I feel like this skill tree is pretty sub-optimized in some places. And I really like how good certain things are, like swords, for example. Just run up and you just keep slapping some dude with a sword and he's like, oh God, and just keeps falling over and you just bleed him out. Right. But maybe I thought the throwing daggers, to me, that's the one thing that'll really hook me up right now. Is I thought that was the coolest perk, but to find out it's almost useless killed the game a little bit for me. I was like, wow.
Oh yeah,
I had a build in mind and it all went out with a single perk.
All right. Yeah, most definitely. Roby, what's your thoughts on the mechanics and playability right now?
Sometimes it feels really clunky to me, a little bit. I'm on keyboard and mouse, so if I'm I'm trying to strafe or accidentally tap, my dude just automatically jumps. Coming from the shooting, for example, coming from for me Warzone, where I have everything set to be as accurate as I can be and quick, it gets a little, it's a little off to me. I'm always misaiming, and then I have to stop and reassess and then aim it and then start working there again. Driving sucks, hands down.
Driving.
We talked about this earlier. With driving sucks, hands down. Regardless, I think some of the stuff, nothing's been game ending for me. I haven't had anything ruined for me just because I was walking up the steps and circa Skyrim cabbages or Skyrim cheese wheels. The minute they came into my view, there was 6 trash bags that just popped up and then rolled.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just those things that stick out to me.
That happens a lot when you're by your apartment. When you're about to get on the elevator, there's a shit ton of trash bags there, and they just start rolling out and moving.
Trash bag fountain.
Yeah, but it's don't worry, they'll code in 400 billboards with boobs on them, but not look at any of that stuff.
And not only that, the trash is everywhere. Everywhere.
Which I guess would be
great
in this time, in this
sure
setting.
I think along with the mechanics, like I said, the skill tree, it's rough because you're always going to second guess what you're doing. How you have to go about certain things in the game has been kind of, it's been all right. I do love the fast travel system though. I love that you can't just click your stuff in the fast travel. I love you got to find
a fast travel.
You got to find a terminal and then decide where you're going to go. All that good stuff. Some of the stuff's really, really cool. Some of the other stuff is just, And I don't know about you guys. I know not you, obviously, Roger, because you're talking about hacking into everything all the time. I consistently forget about scanning. It's I always consistently, they give you so much stuff to do that I consistently forget all of my options.
Yeah. Well, I got one better. I scan all the time, but then I forget to hold the scan button, or I hit caps lock again and close my full open scan lock, and I hit grenade, and there goes silence. You're just
there you are.
Who dare?
Some of it's if you're doing anything physical related, melee related, everything like that, it's a slap fight. It's just it's a weird clunky slap fight.
I gotta say, I did when I first started my non-streamed playthrough as a nomad. I was like, all right, I'm doing Fight Club first. Need to start Rocky style in the streets, train up. So I went to my first street fight, and I'm fighting the 2 dudes. They're like, we're the same person. I was like, no, you really fucking aren't. But
yeah.
And they're like, you have to fight us both. And I was like, fuck it, whatever.
That fight.
I swore so fucking much, dude. And Sean's just like, what's the matter? And I was like, 30 deaths, 30 retries in. I was like, I'm gonna get it today.
Yeah. Well,
you had to retry 30 times? Or like
I was playing on. I'm playing on hard, and I'm sitting here with keyboard and mouse trying to block two dudes and retaliate. And I was just like, and eventually I was just like, fuck it, and I just kept left clicking, and I was like, I beat the guy into submission, and I was like, why did I even try to block?
Exactly.
Why even try?
It's been weird like that. For me as well. Like I found out that I had a katana earlier that I randomly picked up. I forget when I picked it up. I think when I killed the dude when he was taking a piss. But well, you got to go. I'm looking for Evelyn at this point, so I'm doing the Evelyn quest, and I just got off the really creepy sex doll warehouse building.
I haven't even hit it yet. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I'm working on that. It's awkward. It's just awkward as shit.
Is.
And like we'll have to definitely talk more about that with comments Victor made and yourself with that comment about the shop in the 5th segment we do tonight. But like, yeah, I definitely gotta agree. The game is definitely clunky at times, but in the end, do you still not enjoy it a lot?
I enjoyed the game, but as we spoke earlier before we started doing this, I'm gonna repeat myself. My poor damn F key, because you gotta press F to pick the mug up, press F to take a sip, press F to look at the mug, press F to take another sip, press F to put the freaking mug down, press F to stare at the mug longingly, and oh my god, this. And poor
the fact
thing.
that F is your key for doing every option, every interaction option. Yeah, I agree. Like at times when I'm in dialogue, I'm like, it would be nicer if I could just space bar
or anything. I don't know.
And we could probably change it.
Can you click on it with the mouse at all to choose it?
No. So you have your other mouse options. I was going to start looking.
And you have to either scroll or you have to hit up and down, and then hit F. Yeah, and if you accidentally scroll too fast or hit F in the wrong way or don't and then you also have to look at it with your mouse. And then some options come into play. I'm trying to scroll down to an option. I'm like, I can't do it until I look at the bench.
Yeah, and so I think that's been the most damning thing from my aspect regarding mechanics and playability, because that is annoying.
Because out of the box, those are the controls. Now you can change a lot of these, but the thing is, out of the box, the controls at times don't feel intuitive.
Right.
It feels like the game was made for PC, but they wanted you to use a controller.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure, and that's why I've been starting to see what I'm going to use, what I use most, because when I start getting into games and things like that, to kind of help with my initial, bitch fest regarding the interact key, as well as not being able to fight those two guys, because even though I had 3,000 eddies, those options didn't light up for me. I also can't pay back Victor for some reason, so still trying to figure that one out. Even though I have the money, it's just the option's there, and I select it and nothing happens.
Maybe
some of
the time. I don't know, because I know in the game you can change what time it is of the day.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I sat there and I was talking to Vic, and trying to pay him back, and it just wouldn't let me. I'm like, all right, bet. Guess that's my money. Guess that's going to go towards my reclass then. When I decide to go from combat to assassination, because that's basically what I've just been doing. Is I've been just trying to build my dude just well-rounded till I can figure out how I actually like to play, and then start working there.
At least that's the benefits with the playability, is you can go back, create more characters, different characters.
Yep, and that's where I was going to segue. That piece was the playability for me, regardless of all of my bitches and moans and everything like that. Love it 100%. I will I'm guaranteed to play this game at least 2 more times. Probably even more than that, just because you can get so into the detail about who you are, what you do, and how you do it, which is fantastic to me. Absolutely fantastic to me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna go over my ideas real quick, and then we can read this section too. Mine might be a little bit. I'm gonna cover a lot more topics here. I'm gonna start off by saying the mechanics in the game felt to me natural, coming from other games. I mean, I am, like I said, playing with a controller, so everything just feels fluid to me. Aiming and shooting a gun is as simple as just aiming a trigger and pulling both triggers, aim and then shoot. But going off what Roby was saying, like coming from playing Call of Duty and Warzone, it doesn't seem as precise, but it may be the fact that in Call of Duty, it's like everything's kind of set. You can change the attachments, and the gun can kind of get better. Where in this game, you don't really the change in attachments don't really change like the actual gun itself, maybe aiming and stuff like that.
A little bit, but not much.
Yeah, you get your ADS.
And it really determines on like your skill tree, because in reflexes you can focus on assault rifles or something like that. So like your gun control and your handling and your recoil and stuff like that will get progressively better. And finding the different guns to get better, because like if you just have a common AR versus a rare AR is going to be a completely different feel to the gun. And I love that aspect of the game. I'm gonna go counter to what you guys were talking about with the driving. I enjoy driving.
But you're on controller,
right?
Yeah.
To me, the driving in the game actually feels so good that it feels real to me. And coming from like Watch Dogs or something else, like it feels really arcadish, where I can just constantly like crash, and the turning just feels like I can turn at any speed I want. This game, like when you're hitting the brakes like that, you can slide. Like I feel like I'm in Forza half the time, especially on the bike. The bike feels the realest to me. Like I'm
excited for the bike.
I'm like, oh shoot, like I'm about to fall off this thing.
I'm excited for the bike. I heard the bike was great and kind of helps out with how you're driving is a little bit for
and I gotta say, I think the issue with the driving on keyboard and mouse, we're playing without press down mechanics. Like we don't get a judge of how far we pull in the trigger.
Right.
You have on and off on a keyboard. You have is it pressed or not pressed?
Yeah, it's either
pressed
or go.
Floor it. I feel like SpongeBob. Floor it.
Well, and give yourself a nice, quick, responsive mechanical keyboard, and you got the recipe for a nightmare when you get behind the wheel of a car.
You're like
in Night City.
Okay.
For you and everyone around you, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I did was I accidentally like straight like Green Goblin this like 2 or 3 people up against a wall with the car when I was trying to find the fight to go talk to the 2 guys. I was like, I'm gonna drive, let's do this. And then nope, like straight up, like you immediately oversteer and then you can't correct. And I did that right up against the sidewalk and right into like these
because it's when you turn as well, it's turn or not turn. It's not you don't have a radial button where you can choose an angle. It's turn, not turn, turn.
Yeah, that's
it.
Yeah, that would suck.
So
but to segue with the vehicles and stuff, I actually didn't realize that like there was a mission to go get your original car back. So probably for the first like after like Wells dies and the actual like main story begins, I was running around the whole city because I didn't have a vehicle and I couldn't afford.
Yeah, I don't know where my car is. I was like, and it didn't even click to me that it's gone.
I didn't even know that there was a mission to get your vehicle.
Yeah, I was working on that, and part of that mission is to literally just wait. So.
Yeah, well, the mission for me was just
so that's why it just showed back up one day. Well, I was like, why is my car back now? Is this a glitch?
Well, no, there's a mission that you're supposed to go get it from the parking garage, and then that's when you actually get missions from the Delamain, and he'll send you to go retrieve some of his cars and stuff like that back.
So
I don't know if you got
because I've only ever had to buy cars and stuff, and my car just showed up automatically
and stuff like that. But no, there's a specific mission where you go retrieve your car back. And then it'll lead to like more missions and stuff. But like literally probably for the first like 3 hours into like the main mission, I'm running around the entire city because I'm like, I don't got no vehicle. I can't afford a vehicle. And then my dumbass is like, I had this mission from the beginning, and I'm like, I actually had the motorcycle.
Dead athletics though.
Dead athletics though.
Yeah, athletics are getting ripped.
Yeah, and the only time I think I've ever really drove anywhere was just to go to the top of the map so I can work my way back down just doing side quests.
Oh yeah. I mean, I prefer like I have yet to use the fast travel system. It's nice that it's there.
Yeah.
Because I love the ambience of the city.
And I found I haven't done it either.
And what I've learned from listening to other podcasts talking about this game is actually when you're driving from like mission to mission and stuff like that, you're going to get random phone calls and text messages. And you actually get to interact with these other characters. Where like if you fast travel, this stuff's just going to appear in your phone and you didn't even know like it happened. Where
that's what happened with my Delamain car.
Yeah.
That's what happened with my car from Delamain, and then it just showed up one day. They're like, "Oh, your car's done." I was like, "Cool." I was like, "Go pick it up," and then all of a sudden, I was just able to call my car. I was like, "All right, save some time there, like no problem."
Right. Yeah. So I definitely I would recommend just not using the fast travel unless it's like I really don't feel like driving right now, or I don't feel running right now. Like, but
that's across the
haven't had
freaking
that
city.
I'm
done.
The whole length of the city, outside the city, everything. It's just like I really enjoy the driving part. But going non-driving is mantling and traversing the world seems pretty dope. And the fact that they integrated the thought of the cybernetics, like if you want to jump up and reach that high place, you better go get those reinforced legs or the better ankles or something like that, where you can either double jump or like what's it called? I have it right here. There's where's it at? Is it in a character? Cyberware, yeah.
Well, so, for the jump athletics.
You can't look at it in here, I guess. Or you have to actually go to a ripper. But there's another one where it's like reinforced ankles, like you press and hold and it like launches you. Because I didn't realize that there's certain parts of the map that you can like. There's probably like secret areas that you can only get to when you have those. And I was like, oh wow, like that's
yeah.
So yeah. So what would you rate it then, Vic, on playability?
I got a couple more things here.
You got a couple more?
Yeah, that was mainly like mechanics, but playability. I think the game's loaded with content. There's like main missions after main missions. Like I remember having like 5 of those, but then there's like an endless list of side missions to do and gigs, and then those collect all the cars. Like they send you missions like, hey, we got this car available. Hey, we got this car available. And then like the crime watch, like with the police, you can like literally help stop crime in the city, which is pretty cool. And then, like, or you can just relax and just get outside the game, just sit there and just take photos, enter the photo mode, and just have fun with it.
I keep hitting that by mistake. I'm like, map? Nope, I hit photo mode.
That's what happened. That happened to me earlier today. I'm like, what the hell is this? I was like, oh.
But speaking of the
photo mode,
being on a controller, I am so used to in every game, the back button or the select button is always map, right? Not in this game. That brings up like save and load and stuff like that, like your options menu, and I'm like, I don't need to access that menu like ever. Like that should be like if I press start or select, it should be like off to the side like Assassin's Creed is. Like Assassin's Creed, like back button brings up the map. If I press left on the D-pad, it takes me to that menu, the save and load and all that stuff. But mechanical wise, I've had my fair share of bugs. You've mentioned the phone floating. Or like a gun starts floating out of the guy's hand. I'm like, sir, your gun is from Borderlands. But no, I think the playability though still is being able to choose the different life paths, make different choices with dialogue, do the missions in different orders. It's a different experience every single time you play, and it will be different.
Yeah, I agree.
And on top of that is their DLC plan. Like they have a lot of free DLC planned and paid DLC planned. And if anybody knows, The Witcher 3's content, their DLC is arguably some of the best content ever put out. And then the additional
they're like full-on stories. They're not just like little side zones or a little endless grinds. They're actual full-on stories that help build the world.
Exactly, and I love that, like, because I hope this game's around for years and they add tons of content or whatever. I want this to be like more of a platform where they continue to add content or more cities, because like if anybody knows the Cyberpunk universe, which I'm new to it, but I did a lot of backstory. This is based off of a tabletop game and tons of other content in the past. And I've listened to the history of like 50 years prior.
What tabletop is it based off of? Shadowrun or something?
It's based off of Cyberpunk. Like it's an actual tabletop game.
Oh, okay.
Like Cyberpunk, like 20. It's like 50 years early. It's like 2020 or something like that.
Okay.
Ironic.
Okay, I didn't realize that Cyberpunk 2020 was a tabletop game.
Yeah, that's where it originates from, and that's why I guess it built so much hype, because people have been playing this game for years upon years, and they have all this backstory, and this takes place in the future of this tabletop game, and I think that's pretty cool. But no, I don't know if you guys heard, but the addition of multiplayer in the future, they said that's probably like 2-3 years out. But like they look at that as like a standalone game, but it's going to be added to the game, which I don't know. There's no information. There's no concrete information like how it's played. Like, is it story based, or is it just like competitive, or raids, or
is it just GTA?
Right.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, because that was gonna be my final thought regarding this game. Is this I'm happy we didn't get Grand Theft Auto 6, because we got Grand Theft Auto 77 here, and you put multiplayer in that, and it's gonna be almost the exact same. I'm more leaning towards Vic, like the co-op modes, the co-op storylines, or like not dungeons per se or raids, but they can work that in.
Or like
make
heist,
it.
They can steal
yeah.
from GTA and create the heist or something like that.
Yeah. Make your own gang or something like that, depending on how many people they put
turf
in.
wars things.
Yeah,
because like that's something that to me is something I hope that they add or that is in the game that I haven't seen yet. But essentially, the ability to deal with the local gangs, like to actually make a difference, or even just feel like you're a part of the actual gang war. Because when I looked at the map and just saw gang names, I was like, oh, I hope I get to beat the shit out of some gangs.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Like points just for shoot on sight, or and they do the same to you. Like they see you and it's just, or you're walking on their turf and they see you and they get like shoot on sight and you got to fight your way out of it and all that good stuff. Really get immersed into that.
I definitely would like to see a multiplayer because the world itself is so interesting and fun. But to me, the game would be fine without it. If there's no multiplayer, I'd be completely fine. It would not be a problem. But the multiplayer to me would be a problem if it flopped. I would be outraged by it. It has to be done right.
Yeah, especially if they're going to invest this much time in it. Like they have like a whole separate team working on this, and they view it as like a whole separate.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they've been working on this for a long time, and they still don't. They still have like 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
yeah, there's no harm there. It's not. It's a nice to have, not a necessity.
Right, because not every game needs multiplayer.
Yeah.
And no, I really definitely do enjoy. I definitely do enjoy the game. All in all, though, I think it has a lot to do, a lot of action, a lot to do, a lot to the story. I enjoy the fact that as you slowly meet more fixers, you get more fixer cards in your menu. You get to progress that person's sort of story. Mm-hmm. You get to find out what they do in the world.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's tons of content they can do with this game, and like I said, they can expand this to different cities. Heck, it looks like their space travel is a thing in this game because you see all them ships up there. They're not just floating around on Earth.
There are people living on the moon. That was established.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm pretty they could really branch this out and
yeah,
make like an intergalactic game in the future. Like this could be the beginning.
Now
I'll go ham on the moon. I'll go ham on the moon. Let's do this.
Not intergalactic, 100%. But definitely between the moon and Earth, I could definitely see. Because people already nowadays want to make space travel a recreational activity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is possible right now. It costs millions of dollars to do it, but you can do like what do they call it? Like you can go into space, but it's like not that long. But then you got to come back down and stuff like that because it's expensive, obviously. But
yeah.
But no, yeah. Let's just move into the ratings here. Mechanics and playability, just because like there's so much to do, and the mechanics, and I love how like all the systems just work together. Leveling it and just trying to truly customize your character. I think everything works really well. I have no issues, so I would also rate this category probably like a 9.5, honestly.
9.5. I'd say it's a 9. If I can see some of the, if they go back through and tune some of the trees maybe, or adjust some of the things that people have issues with, and then continue to bug fix, I definitely will give it a 10. Mm-hmm. It does everything. I don't think there's any more I could ask for from it, except to fix some of the things that they offered me, and then turns out they were just a dummy perk.
Right, exactly.
And also, they have already released a patch that I've visibly noticed that line of sight has been fixed, it seems, in a lot of cases. I went from week 1 having a lot of trouble, or the first 3 or 4 days playing, having trouble hiding from people, to people can't see me if I'm behind a wall.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Primo.
No doubt.
But
what about you, Roby?
I'm gonna have to go, and we have to go high again. I'm gonna have to say like 9, 8.5, 9, because of that damn F key. Playability, it's playability 10 out of 10. for sure. I'm going to be playing the hell out of this game for quite some time. I mean, I think the playability in the future of the game's gonna help with that. What they do with multiplayer, am I gonna go? I mean, are we looking at a moon heist here? Like, it's all up in the air. It's yeah. You gotta go up to the moon to collect some like hush money. And like, yeah, I'm totally pumped for that. Yeah, playability and all that, rounding them together, 9 only for that. Some of the bugs and some of the things that are just kind of wonky with the game that like Roger said, hopefully they'll be able to come in and do some fixes. Like, I'm happy I didn't decide to get that dagger perk. That would have pissed me off. That would have pissed me off. But yeah, so yeah. And there's some things, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the YouTuber, the Spiffing Brit. We were talking about mechanics earlier and perk trees and all that good stuff. And we said the eddies were really hard to come by. Not if you work on the crafting perks. Mm-hmm. You work on the crafting perks and all that good stuff. And you can basically give yourself endless resources.
Yeah.
And then you can sell to get just outrageously wealthy fast.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that happens in a lot of games is you can game off the fact that the economy in the game isn't always well thought out when people go, oh, here it is, and go through. Like, I've not had a problem with money. I just know that there is a certain point where you have to grind a lot to get the money, but you can sell shit that you steal off of people. Not steal, they're dead. So,
Well, yeah, they weren't going to use it. But yeah, like, so mechanics like that, like easily exploitable mechanics like that as well. Maybe take it down a little bit, but obviously there's going to be patches. There's going to be things that they do to fix these. At that point, it's just it's a matter of time. But yeah, definitely 9 out of 10 for both of those rounded out, like 100%.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like overall we're really enjoying this game. But final thoughts. Is this going to be a game that you guys will be playing for a while? I mean, you kind of just mentioned it. Roby, you said you're going to be playing this for a while, but what about you, Roger?
I'm probably going to sink one playthrough into the game and then move on for a while. I think I'll probably play most of the side quests right now until I get to a point that I'm like, I'm done. I can't do no more. But if I find that following through all the side quests in a certain vein gets me somewhere or gets me some content, and it's not just an endless grind to, there you go, fixer, 100%. You happy? And they're like, yep, okay, bye.
Yeah.
If I can find that, at the end of the tunnel, there is some world building, some fun into it, then yes, I will probably keep doing all the side quests until I do everything, and then I'll just finish up in Night City. But at the same time, if I can do that and I can waste days, weeks, or months doing this, as the game ticks away internally, if I can get away with that and not lose myself to the chip, then maybe I might feel less apt to give it a good rating as well.
Right.
So there's definitely a lot to be seen with how the game goes, but I definitely think I'll play it for quite some time.
No, yeah. I mean, I personally, I hope that I'll be playing this game for years to come, especially if the DLC and the paid and the free, because we don't know exactly how that structure is going to be. They originally had a plan to talk about this, like I think like a week before launch or something like that. But since the game got delayed that last time, they also delayed their plans. They're like, we're just going to focus on the game right now.
Yeah,
make sure it's ready to go and stable and stuff. So they're going to give us a plan and a roadmap on how it's going to work. But until we figure that out, I think it'll be interesting to speculate. Like, are they going to have like, is it all cosmetics? Even though like the cosmetic stuff, another point real quick is all your outfits and stuff all have a stat, like your armor stat. And it's weird because like sometimes like as a dude, this skirt or bra has more armor than your shirt or something like that. And you're like, I don't want to wear that.
Welcome to World of Warcraft and RPGs in general.
It's a mithril bra. So it is.
That's what it is.
It's mithril.
It's made of reinforced Kevlar. That's all.
It's orcish.
Battle-proof boobs right there.
Yep.
But to keep going though, is I really enjoy this game, and I'm very excited for the upcoming content that's going to come out. And the thought of the multiplayer too is just pretty cool, because like what if all like you invest 2-3 years into these characters and stuff, and then you were able to take these characters and compete with somebody else or fight along somebody else and or whatever it's going to be like. However, I think it'll be cool to be able to use your character.
I'm looking forward to how toxic that gets. I cannot wait.
If it's anything like Destiny, it's gonna be So like,
yeah, I just hope it doesn't become a grind session like Destiny. That's the only downfall with that.
Yeah, good. But, could easily go that way.
Roby, what's your thoughts on like a sequel or like is this like a new platform? What do you think? How's that going to play out?
So, I mean, sequels, I mean, that's never out of the question. Go another 50 years into the future, and now instead of playing it like you're reading stories about V and Johnny Silverhand and like that whole, or like how V was in Night City, and kind of to hear yourself become a legend would be super cool. I think it would be far out. Even if that was a thing. I think there's also a very good chance that because of the work that they're going to put into this is going to be standalone. And the question of a sequel would be far off, if even there, especially now with we're looking at multiplayer DLCs. Regarding that, I'm kind of curious how they're gonna work on the DLCs, because I've talked with some people that have beaten it already, beaten the main story, and there's no after game. Like that's it. And you guys were talking earlier, like, hey, here's the warning, like this is the finale. So like the timing of the DLC, what would that do to people who have already beaten the main quest, and how would that get played in? That's going to be interesting to see how they want to do that. So I think all in all, it's going to be here for a hot minute. I don't think we're going to be getting any big brothers or big sisters coming out of here for at least, I'd say at least 10 years. But then again, I'm always cautiously optimistic because I've been waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 for like.
Well, at least that's been announced.
That's been announced. They announced that they were thinking about considering working on it. Is basically how they handled that one.
Well, it's because they're working on Starfield right now.
Yeah.
And then again, at least you're not Metroid. Metroid Prime's been waiting a lot longer.
Oof. Yeah. All right.
So.
Yeah. Good call. That makes me feel a little bit better about myself. It doesn't sting as much. Because that Metroid Prime's that's dropped off my radar.
Yeah, they were like, we're releasing Metroid Prime in 2020. Here comes 2021.
Yeah, right. And it's like, damn, okay, like no problem.
Then we get a Perfect Dark announcement at the Game Awards. We're like, oh man, we haven't seen this kind of game in a long time either. But we can just rate the game overall, and then we can move into our non-gaming topic, of course. I'm gonna start off here. I'm gonna rate this game a 9.
9.
A pretty solid game. It has, to me, very minor detail fixes that I know that are going to get fixed 6 months down the road that we might not even recognize this game because it's going to be that, I think, polished and more content and stuff. So it's there. It has super potential. It's already great. I have very few flaws, so a solid 9.
Yeah, the game plays through for me. I enjoy it the whole way through. 9 as well, because it's a good game. It's a seriously good game. And if you're going to get caught up on every little problem, then you might not as well play video games because that's what video games are.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
At least these games, if they come out buggy now, that they can patch them as opposed to like an N64 game. Like if they came out,
you got the cartridge and that was it.
I would rather. I would rather a broken crown because it can be repaired than a polished turd. Let's be honest here.
Yep.
What about you, Roby?
I'm right there with you guys, but I'm gonna have to go 9.1 because none of us have used a decimal this entire time. So shout out to decimals. So no, I think overall, even considering the things that we've talked about that the annoyances, the things that really stick out because it shouldn't be there because it's the mechanics or the bugs. I think the reason that we get hung up on certain things like that is because of the rest of this game is just absolutely fantastic. And those things stick out to you and they seem bigger than they are, just for the simple fact that everything else around it is amazing.
Yeah.
All in all, I mean, bravo, absolutely to CD Projekt Red on this, especially with all the flack they were getting before the release and now after. I think it's a great game. Definitely 9.1 out of 10. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah. So overall, it looks like we all agree that this is a solid game. Little to improve. We do feel bad for those who are trying to play this on the original Xbox or PlayStation 4. For those who don't have it yet and stuck around, don't play it if you have those consoles or a really low computer, because you're not going to enjoy the experience. You're not going to enjoy what we went through trying to play this game. Like, play this on next gen, play this on a good computer.
This is
thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, games are always evolving, and we're on the precipice of a new stage in gaming. If you get hung up on the fact that you want to stick with what you have and you don't have money to move on, I apologize, but the rest of us who can move on want to see what gaming can offer.
Right,
it's
gonna be fantastic. It's gonna end up being fantastic. And then even then, if you didn't want to drop money on the new mini fridge that Microsoft put out, or you didn't want to buy the Wi-Fi router that Sony put out, things over time, technology always gets cheaper over time, and it's at that point it's just a waiting game. But I try not to be too hung up on the stuff that you're dealing with just because of the hardware that you're using. It does get better. And going through one of these big changes, like Roger said, in gaming performance, what we can do is it's always going to be rough around the edges. It's how it works.
This is the first game of its kind.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
I think overall we do got to give CD Projekt Red the benefit of the doubt. The figure that this game was announced, say, 7 years ago, right? And it was announced on PC's tech at that time, along with what card would that have been 7 years ago? You think the
7 years ago? That'd have been the 900 series.
Yeah, the 9 series.
And you see where we're at now. And the same thing with console. The consoles, Xbox One was out, PS4 was out. I don't even know if the Pro wasn't announced. The Xbox One X wasn't announced. None of that. And I think this game came out 8 years later. Now next gen's announced. All these new graphics cards came out and announced. So now they're putting out a game for all those computer things: Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox Series, both S and X, PS4, PS4 Pro, and PS5, and Stadia, trying to make them all work and
together,
play the same way.
Yeah.
But they want that fidelity, the most impressive game ever built, are going to be held back by all the old stuff that they're still trying to put it out there for
support.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be one of the big, maybe obviously not a failure, but definitely a lesson learned.
Business mistake.
For sure. Just because this, like you listed all of the pieces of hardware that they have to make this work for, and that's a nightmare in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to do it, still be able to put this out, and it gives out a lesson to the rest of the gaming community. Like, hey, it's possible. Not favorable for sure,
right?
But it's definitely possible. And you know how they're gonna. I wouldn't say they're gonna lead us in, but they're definitely gonna be helping out along with that as basically proof of concept for next gen and where we go from here. So once again, shout out to CD Projekt Red on that. So
yeah, 100%. And we go on the think about even more is all this old tech, it holds back the gaming industry just because some people obviously can't afford top of the line stuff. And I get it, especially getting into the PC master race, trying to build that best computer. It's expensive. I'm getting into the PC building game, and I have built a budget to mid-tier PC, and I'm still waiting on parts, and it's a skeleton. Honestly, I'm still missing the important part of the graphics card. But it's just with these next-gen systems, they're not terribly expensive. The new console's $500, and you're getting that kind of hardware with it. It's pretty solid. But those consoles aren't going to be able to experience or give you the experience that you're looking for until they phase out the old stuff, and that process takes 2 to 3 years. So
I think now, especially when you're talking about the new consoles and things like that, the state of the world right now has also made getting one of those insanely hard.
Yeah.
Whether shipping, whether you can go pick it up, whether we're over here in PA. Like you can't swing a dead cat in Pennsylvania right now without hitting people that have been absolutely put on their asses by this pandemic. So, a $500 console or whatever is not, it's not going to be in the question right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that adds to some of the pain of this release. Just because, you wanted 2077, you should be doing it on a new Gen C, like a new gen console, but you can't. It's just, so I think that just kind of adds a little bit to the pain that this game felt coming out.
I agree.
Well, yeah. I mean, any last thoughts before we move on to our last topic of the night?
No, I honestly, I think we've covered what we think about the game. It's truly a great game, and we're just sort of at the precipice of, where we're going with the future of gaming.
Right. But one last comment to the audience, though, is just this is a review in progress. I mean, we haven't even beat the game yet. We might not even be halfway done with the game yet. So we will definitely revisit this game. So definitely be on the lookout for that completed review for sure, because our thoughts may change by the end of this.
I may dumpster this review by the end, depending on how. I may get done.
No.
we could come back and say, never mind, guys, that game's a dumpster fire.
I got through it and cried at how bad it was.
Probably not gonna happen, but still, I think.
Yeah.
Overall, I think, and especially, are we professionals? No. Well, I'm giving my review of the game based off of a guy who comes home, makes dinner, and then loads into Night City and screws around and goes and do things.
Exactly.
So please, if you're still here, don't take what I've said. If you're still here, don't take what I've said as gospel, and don't be like, well, that weird kid on their podcast said it was a 9.1. But yeah, I think you can tell that I think we're all just kind of really astounded with how they pulled it off and how they did, it shows.
Again, shout out to CD Projekt Red, man. But man, let's get into our non-gaming topic of the night here. The future of our world. I mean, playing Cyberpunk 2077 has sprung a thought into my mind: is will our world or life reach that point of Cyberpunk 2077 where people have to go migrate to one city or a few cities around the world because it's not habitable anymore, or just the cybernetics? I feel like we're getting close to it. We're in the year 2020. We're 50 years out from this game.
We already have cybernetics. That's the thing. There are already eyes out there to replace actual eyes.
There you go.
So, I think we are living in, shout out to the chat. Spooky Crew has been with us this whole time. And he's a good friend of mine. And he's brought a great point. The dystopia is already here. We are living in it.
I was waiting to say that because we're remaining optimistic for a Cyberpunk 2077 future, but we're looking down Logan's Run, we're looking down Blade Runner, we're looking down that movie with Justin Timberlake, Time. And
we're looking at all these things, the future, what it could be, but the whole time, remember, we're looking through it at the lens of somebody who. And don't get me wrong, one of my favorite quotes, do you want to go silently into the night or do you want to go out in a blaze of glory? And you know what? Your character is going out in a blaze of fucking glory. But how many people go out silently in the night, pissing themselves, slightly smelling of piss, and just covered in their own feces?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So we are living in that dystopian future. It is here. And if we can't make policymakers change their minds now or get rid of them now, that's it. Yeah. We're giving up the world. We are on the precipice of, will we permanently ruin the earth?
Oh, hell yes. Absolutely.
That's
he was 100% right. Your buddy over there in the chat, 100% right. But we're already staring down the future where, hey, there's no more fossil fuels. Hey, the sun literally kills you if you go outside now because of our ozone layer. Hey, we have to migrate here because this is the only way that we can survive.
Yeah, people are literally
sure.
we're running out of food. You know, the future is going to be the point where farming is going to become unsustainable and everything's going to become synthetic. We already have synthetic meat. We're already growing meat in labs.
Which is
actual
gross,
living tissue meat in labs.
Which is disgusting, by the way.
I agree. I personally, as a vegetarian, am also disgusted at the idea of synthetic meat like that.
That's weird. And so, and another thing is, how futuristic do I think we would get that we're looking at here is, I'm going to go on the not offensive, but I'm going to say it doesn't really matter because we're going to use our fucking cybernetics to look at cat videos and like YouTube. And I feel that we would it would get wasted until such time it became necessity.
And the problem we're dealing with, especially like the thing that you touched upon earlier, Vic, about how you were attracted to a person in the game. It felt so real to you.
Right.
That's not something that's unheard of. Literally, Japan is dealing with a crisis right now where their infrastructure won't sustain unless they get more population. Their population is on the decline, and so their older generation is going to look like an upside down pyramid.
Well, I mean, and virtual girls at Afterlife, or porn, they don't argue back. So
that's right. You're looking for the real experience, but not. You're looking for the experience.
Also, for anybody else watching, that was a joke.
You know, like, I don't get me wrong. I've been married for a year and been with the same woman for 7. So we've been together for 8 years, almost 8 years now. And there are times where I just want to yell at her. I'm like, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want? So out of these 2 options, what do you want? I don't know. What do you want? I just gave you 2 options. Just pick. Without having to deal with that, there's something that, yes, you lose the intimacy, but then you can regain that in things like hostess clubs. Just going out and sitting in a hostess club. Deal with a fake girlfriend for a little bit who will just, shoot you goo-goo eyes the whole time, and then you go home and you don't have to deal with that. Look, there are literally full-on prosthetic sex dolls already.
Yeah.
It's here. It is now. And there are studies to show in the future where we're going. People may move away from intimacy with each other. That's crazy to me. I
hope not, man. I need a big spoon.
Yeah. You need a big spoon? Okay, I'm a little spoon as well.
I don't care how tall or small she is. I'm gonna be a little spoon.
Same.
That's going in the prenup is we're splitting everything 50-50 and including the spoons. So for sure.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree though. We are on the precipice of, if we don't change now, we aren't going to be able to turn back. And people say, oh, but humans have been around for this long and, we've always survived this and that. I'm like, yeah, I get you.
Our tech wasn't around.
Yeah, our tech wasn't around. We're not bastardizing the earth. We have 10 times, 20 times, 100 times the population. And look what the earth did in the Middle Ages. Earth was like, all right, Black Plague, let's try to get rid of this sore. And we're like,
2020, coronavirus.
Exactly. And not only that, we're able to combat it except for stupidity. And look at this. We have the ability to make progress as mankind. We have the ability to solve it. Look at New Zealand. They've essentially eradicated the diseases. They are literally watching soccer games in full stadiums. And we're sitting here going, I'm not going to wear a mask. And people are dying. Thousands of people a day are dying.
And look at the numbers.
And you can get into the scientific minutia of, hey, the virus is this small. This only stops something this small. It's this many microns. It's this many microns. And I think about that stuff all the time. You best believe when I run my ass to Giant to get some sushi or something like that, I mask up just cause.
And there are people out there who won't do those things. So I think we're on the precipice of excitement outweighs facts. Who cares if your fact isn't exciting? If it's not, if it doesn't give me the same stimulus as a cat video, I don't care what your fact is. It doesn't matter to me.
And that's why when you look at, and obviously I'm going to keep this short as to take politics and everything out of this.
Exactly.
I hate all mainstream media, left, right, doesn't matter. Like
exactly.
when I turn on the news and it's like, oh, is Happy Birthday going to kill your grandmother? Like singing Happy Birthday, like because of the P's and the B's. Like how fast, like how far do you go for like fear mongering at that point?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
You know, we're dealing in a place where people don't get factual news and they don't care because they only care about getting that stimulus, that rush of
whatever sounds good to them.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there are shows, certain anchors on the news right now aren't actually allowed to be called news. They're on mainstream news networks and they are not allowed to be newscasters.
Yeah, they're pundits.
Because they're pundits, and they've already ruled in court cases that the population knows that they're pundits and that they're joking, even though these people tout it as fact afterwards.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But what are some problems you think we deal with today that could be everlasting, or like future issues like destroying like the planet or like society in general that we do now?
The thing is, if you like this kind of topic, there's definitely a Kutzgazart video on YouTube. They do scientific, really well thought out, really well documented scientific videos, and they talk about things like the singularity. And they have a video just for Cyberpunk, and they talk about how, you know, when we get to that point of the singularity, and we talk about people moving forward and you know, being able to outlive our physical bodies and the future coming, we're definitely looking at a world where corporations right now, we're seeing what power they have over us, what power social media has over us, what power just how desensitized people are to the truth, and how much they love sensationalized news.
Yeah, I most certainly agree.
100%.
I feel like it only gets worse.
We're looking at the future of a misinformed population that likes
you ever think about it being misinformed is being controlled?
Misinformation, being ignorant and not looking at other facts and being willing to look at the other side's story, and actually discuss it in a manner that doesn't turn into you getting hurt about every time somebody attacks your viewpoint.
Right.
You're being controlled. If you willingly will listen to anything they say, you're being controlled.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But then again, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's just easier not to care.
And to wrap, actually, we could make that a little Cyberpunk related. When Arasaka, when his son kills him, and you're in the raid and it's all over the news. Well, guess what? You just killed him.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking you killed him.
Right.
Like but what you're mentioning, everybody is terrified of discourse, like, and at this point, and things. Obviously, recent events have really only done. They've only done something to further that, because the minute that you feel that your side is not or even in question, you're automatically like, that's an attacking me. I'm going to immediately attack you now, and there we go.
Yeah. And not only fantastic. That, there was a quote in there where they're like, so the guy you were trying to get to believe you, where he was sold bad drugs, and you're trying to get the drugs back from him, and you know, he's like, I'm going to kill those politicians. You're like, another politician is just going to take his place, and guess what? You're going to lose the argument. The revolt isn't going to happen, because who's going to win? You and a small, tiny revolt, or the entire news media backed by political money against you?
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Money rules the world.
And if you say a lie enough, it eventually becomes the truth anyway.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah,
sure. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
So it seems like we just need to work on society as a whole.
Honestly, just coming together and trying to solve our problems. Money isn't everything. Don't get me wrong. Communism isn't a good solution to anything.
Right.
But there is times where socialism and capitalism together will, I think, save the world. And we're looking at companies that we allow to go unchecked will destroy the world.
Oh yeah, easily. All the monopolies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure. But there's no monopolies. But
except for Facebook now, that is a monopoly.
Yeah. Or in my area, I can only get Comcast internet.
Yeah. As soon as I moved out of Pineford, now I can get get Verizon.
Fios.
Yep, I have Fios, but
sure. And I think the big things that we're working off, like you're talking about, things that we can't come back from. Carbon emissions is huge.
Yeah,
a lot of people have been working on that, and it's been an amazing thing to watch people, actually say, "Hey, we're doing this, and it is fucking everything up. We need to take a step back." I mean, we drill into the earth every freaking day. We cut down trees for paper that just gets thrown away, not recycled, et cetera, et cetera. I think we're a very wasteful, and we're a very invasive species.
Exactly.
So
and being an apex predator, we don't have to worry. There isn't anything to keep us in line.
Well, it's not even that we're apex predators anymore. We're humans. We took ourselves out of that food chain. Like we can go back in if we want, and then we're the best.
It's like we no longer have to hunt. I mean,
we don't got to do anything.
We kill animals and eat meat and stuff like that. But we don't have to physically hunt and gather shit anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to walk out and stare down a pack of wolves for sure.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I definitely the future. We are living in what will be the future at this point. If we don't change it now, it's not going to be able to be changed after this.
Yeah, and it's not going to be fun. And Keanu Reeves isn't going to hang out with you.
Yeah, and you know what? What do you guys think about the news about the aliens?
The Federation.
That it exists.
The Galactic Federation.
Yeah. I don't know how to believe it. I mean, it's 2020. We've been here all time.
Who knows?
So it's like,
it's
another thing.
Yeah, we've been in 2020 for about 10 years now. And so at this point, nothing really phases me. Think about back when they finally declassified aliens existing.
Like the UFO.
That was back in April. It feels like it was like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I think it's awesome. It's going to be super, super shitty when if they ever come to this planet and see what we're like.
Hey, they've already been here supposedly. They live amongst us supposedly.
Oh, and that's why they. I guess that's why they stay the hell away. I mean, they probably drive by like.
We're unprepared. Humankind isn't ready, and
we're the bad neighborhood of the universe. We've got to be. You've got to have aliens going on family trips to other planets, and when they come by, they swing by Earth. They lock the doors and they're just like, nope. They're like, roll them up. They just immediately activate any cloaking ability that they have.
Mommy, that planet looks great. The ozone's dead, kid.
We are not going there. Not gonna happen.
Nah. Alien thing, man, like that would be crazy if it's real. I mean, it makes you wonder, is Men in Black not just a movie?
Yep. We'll see what happens. Cyberpunk 2020 or Aliens 2027 or Aliens 2077,
Right.
Hell yeah. If there ends up being aliens in this game, I'm just going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah, and then, I think we should just talk about one quick topic that I know Roger wanted to get to, and I think it does play effect in how this world could end up going in society is the whole, it's in court, I believe, right, Roger, the whole DMCA.
Yep. So one last thing I wanted to kind of talk about that goes along the lines of, corporations and being able to buy and run the world as countries themselves. The music industry at this point has piggybacked and pretty much bought the pretty much voices of some senators out there that are pushing through a bill in 2 days that could result in jail time for just misusing a license to a song. If you play a song on a stream, for example, where you stream a game on, say, Twitch, if a song, even just a clip or parts of the song come out and you get caught with that, you could face jail time now if this bill passes in 2 days.
Oh, damn.
You could get jail time for just accidentally playing a song on stream.
Yeah, and that's crazy to think about because we kind of discussed it like
And how unaware are you of it? All this, you know.
TikTok is about to get smacked. They had that whole thing is nothing but song clips.
But, isn't there a way around it? Like if you kind of slightly alter the song, it becomes like your creation. So then you're okay.
Nope. As long as there is some noticeable copyright piece to the song, whether it be a certain beat or part of the song itself, there is ways to it is copyrighted material. The lyrics as well as the song itself are.
And it's crazy. Like we were talking pre-show, I was like, how does it work? Like even when you purchase the CD or you buy the music on iTunes, like you still will get in trouble because you still don't tend
to. The rights are for you and you alone. Remember that when you buy something like music, for example, it belongs to you and you alone. And if you share that, you are a convict.
So what you're telling me is if I buy music or a DJ is performing illegal tasks.
If you don't have the rights to stream that, which are usually more expensive rights, then you're in the wrong. Okay, you're a criminal.
So it would make
sense. To jail. Right to jail.
Instead of selling the copyrights, sell me the rights to stream.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, and that's the thing. The music industry is one of those industries right now that is silently trying to get a bigger grip around our necks. You know, when does consumerism end and, you know, human rights begin? You know, I've listened to your music, I paid for your music, why can't I share it? I'm not just sitting there sharing it all the time with everyone. You know, it's in a game, for example.
Right. And honestly,
or for example, maybe go ahead. Maybe for example, they're doing it. It's another money train. Look at how we've been handling everything. I mean, you started this YouTube podcast series this year. People have started Twitch streaming this year. People have started doing things for entertainment and to talk to people or put out how they feel about Cyberpunk 2077, Twitch streamers that use that stuff. So maybe it's just going to be, hey, yeah, you can buy the CD, cool, but if you want to use this, you have to have an in perpetuity license. Here's
exactly.
that's $15,000 because you got 8-year-olds on YouTube making 25 million. Right. So you know what I mean.
Like, so when Roderick first brought this topic up to me pre-show, I thought about like this could really get into something even more crazier. Is all those streamers stream games? It's the same concept. You don't physically own those copyrights to that game. You bought the license just to be able to play it. You alone play it. So you're streaming someone else's content on it, because I know that is I've actually heard about that being an issue. Like, do the developers and the producers and all them own that? Like, do they get an incentive from your streaming, like on YouTube and stuff, people who make money from it?
See, that'd be a much bigger gray area. Because all you're doing is streaming you enjoying the content you purchased. That'd be like trying to put a fine on somebody coming over to your house and be like, hey dude, I'm gonna be playing Warzone later. Do you want to come over and watch?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? That's definitely a much grayer area.
Yeah.
Regarding the streaming. Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to cover on that last topic and also make people aware of that, because I personally didn't know about the whole music.
Yeah, and the vote goes live in 2 days.
Neither did I. Do you know what HR that is? Like.
I don't know the full list of it right now. I just watched somebody had just posted a video about it because it was so sudden that it just got slipped in there.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's not weird, but
honestly, for all those who are watching the stream now, you guys got a heads up. But those who are going to be watching this might be too late, because this doesn't go up till next week on, I believe, Tuesday, when I get it uploaded. So this might be too late for that. But at least you guys are aware of what's going on in the world, because this is going to be ongoing. Even in 2 days, they may or may not come up with a decision. You know how our government operates. They're like, we'll come back to it, whatever.
Yeah. And it's just, and it's not even its own bill or anything. It's piggybacking off another one.
Of course. You always want to go with whatever the foundation is right there. But
hey, money talks, my friend, and that is the message of Cyberpunk 2077 right there.
Gotta love it.
But
gotta love it.
Let's close out the episode of this podcast with some last thoughts and remarks. Just want to thank everyone who showed up today to our live stream, and just want to give a shout out to those who checked out the video at a later time, even though this will be a much longer video than normal. We do plan to do another live review like this on our next game in about 2 weeks. That'll be on the week of, I think it was New Year's.
It would be the 31st.
Yeah, so New Year's Eve, we'll be reviewing Watch Dogs Legion, so definitely be sure to tune into that. But we will have our normal episode in between. But yeah, what are you guys working on, Roby? You working on yourself, projects?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of working on myself. I've taken to cooking a lot recently, just trying to do new things. Obviously, I love food. I love eating. Yeah, for sure. Just earlier today, I made I did like a shrimp Alfredo, but what I did is I did like a shrimp Alfredo like cheesy baked casserole sort of deal. It's pretty dope.
Oh yeah, I saw it on your story.
Yeah, I was pretty excited with that. But I've been doing that because I had the skill a little bit, but I never really kind of went with it. So I've been doing that. Because having some good things to cook is never a bad thing. I took a lot of time, but I did recently pick the guitar back up just to get back into it. I haven't played in like 3 years, just a bunch of stuff to try to keep myself busy, busy learning, and kind of to try to help like a little bit of improvement. Like I said, and I know you probably the same way, Roger, is like all that IT stuff, like trying to try to always be better at that. And then other than that, I've been hanging out with my pup. I'm not sure if his head made it into any of the videos, probably, but so that's really what I've been doing, and just kind of I've taken a lot of time back to myself to work on, obviously, working out my body, like things like that, eating right.
He wants to see the dog.
Rev, come here. Get over here, bud. Come here. Yeah, come. Oh, not that far. Come here. There he is. There you go. That's my big boy. Right. So that's Revan, named after Darth Revan, obviously. So yeah,
he's a badass.
But that's him. But it's my big baby boy. He whines an awful lot. Thanks, Spooky Crew. Appreciate that. Yeah, he's a big baby. He turned 4 in July. He's about 100 pounds, 102 pounds, and he's a Husky Shepherd mix.
Oh, nice. And a lot of energy, I would assume.
Lots of energy, and he's mouthy. He whines. Like, when we were doing this earlier, he brought his toy over, and he just, like, looked at me, and then he's like, ooh. He started, see? There we go.
Doing that.
Get that. Yep, get that big old head over there. And then he'll just whine, and I'm just like, I had to, like, pet him a little bit so he'd shut up. I'm like, But that's been me, man.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. It's all about working on yourself for sure, man.
What you been doing?
Where can we catch you at, like, social media wise? Where you at?
Social media, Facebook, Scott Roby. On Twitch, my Twitch handle is Scoby1. And then my Discord is Scoby1 again. But it's 9369. Nice. I was waiting for it. I was like, yeah. And then I don't really play Xbox too much anymore ever since I've been on PC. My Battle.net is also Scoby1, and that's 11780.
I'm gonna have to link up with you to run some Warzone soon, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta check it
out. For sure. It's fun. It's frustrating. Get ready. It's frustrating as shit, man.
Yeah, that's battle royale for you.
When you make the last circle and you're like the top 3, and some dude just picks you off from behind a fucking blue trash can. So fantastic.
It sounds like you a few times.
And thank you again, Spooky Crew. Appreciate that. And then just my Xbox is Scoby1 again. That's really what it is. If you want to watch how much Netflix or Hulu I've been watching, that's the place to do it. So, but yeah, that's all I got for right now.
Cool. What about you, Roger? You working on anything new? Any projects? How are you bettering yourself at all?
Nothing really lately. I haven't really done much. It's been just work. Finally dropped the cloud initiative for a little bit. We got a new state treasurer coming in for PA, so we'll see how that goes. Kind of a stressful time, but no, other than that, playing games, working on WoW.
That's what's up. I mean, myself, I've just been working on beating these games because I'm trying to get those game reviews out. I do have a couple other like projects in the work for sure for this this brand because I want to branch off this podcast into more shows and stuff like that. So I definitely be on the lookout for some more content coming from me, Roger, and anybody else who definitely hops on. Definitely check out their content for sure. You can find me at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _, and then find me on Xbox. I play pretty much at most games, all games at X Never Space Chillin. But yeah, man, I can't wait to get these game reviews out. Cyberpunk, like I said, we're about halfway through, and then Assassin's Creed, hopefully that's almost done. But we did mention that we're going to be moving on to Legion, Watch Dogs Legion. So
Legion.
Yeah, that's going to be another game thrown into the mix on top of the other 90 billion games I have to get to. But again, I just want to let you guys know we are going to continue to release weekly and then throw in some new structures to our podcast and whatnot, just like this one, even though it's a little bit long, but it's a lot to talk about. And it's good. Having great conversation like this has been great. So definitely stay tuned for that. Just want to give a shout out to Scott Roby for joining us this week here. It was an awesome conversation with you, man. Definitely.
Thanks, man. I had a blast.
Can't wait to have you on again.
Look forward to doing it again.
Hopefully we can get you on for the final review. We'll probably do that in maybe a month or two.
Yeah, for sure.
But definitely for everybody who hasn't, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you share our content as much as possible. We want to grow this community and connect to as many people as possible because we do cover topics other than gaming. As you see today, we're talking about some serious topics from destroying this world to potentially sending people to jail and stuff like that. So we like to help people out. And even if you want to contact me, Roger, anybody else that's on our show, if you guys have any questions or whatnot. But I want to say thanks again to everybody else. And until next time, peace.
All right, man. Out here.